As far back as I can remember, I wanted to be a gangster. Goodfellas, all right?
Oh, yeah. I've always wanted to see this movie.
Oh, dude, you're about to fucking see it, dog.
So glad that this is how you're first seeing it.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
I am too.
Oh, this movie's the tits.
Yeah.
I know I'd go from rags to riches. Credits are rolling, all right? Now you're just getting like, Italian vibes. We on some gangster shit, okay?
Right.
Get your beans rocked, dude.
Oh my god.
You better get your
I'm 33,
fucking-
they're pretty rock face. That's what I call my eggs.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Jetski, no.
Welcome back to the Spoil the Beans edition of Solid Show, where we're talking about Jetski's eggs.
Oh my god. Scrambled.
My spoiled eggs.
Oh, dude, what the fuck? Oh my god. That'd be crazy to have
I
spoiled
have a
children.
little rotten baby.
Yeah, little rotten kids. Oh my god, that's what that means.
Yeah, when old ladies have babies, they're spoiled rotten.
Oh, dude. How old can a woman have? What's the oldest woman to have a child?
70, 80.
Yo, I thought you knew the number exactly. I thought you were like, is that something all women are taught?
Yeah. Just be like, this is what your clock is, really.
This is the final. This is the LeBron James.
Yeah, you're like the LeBron James of ovaries.
She's actually from India.
No, I actually don't
Oh
have
my
that.
god, I believe that. They're probably
No, 74-year-old Ugandan women.
You were
Oh,
close.
I was close.
You were actually kind of near it.
Twins, she had twins.
Gives birth to twins.
Whoa, this lady was
Damn.
not fucking around.
Bro, there's a whole pregnancy over 50 Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I think over 50 is not as weird as we're led to believe.
Well, and then also because I saw the words up there, that IVF shit. That's like the thing nowadays, is you can just make a baby.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
If you guys actually think about it, the women
Shut
who
the
have
fuck
women who have like 8, 9, 10 kids, they're pregnant for 12 years of their lives, like back to back, like within 5 to 6 months of each other.
Yeah,
Damn.
but that's like at like if you're having 8, 9, 10 kids, you're starting like early 20s, late teens. Right?
Yeah, that's a wild thing to start in your like 40s to be
Right,
like,
no
now
one's
I'm gonna
doing
have
that.
10 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
Better get to
crazy.
it.
That'd be pretty crazy. But and that is a good point though, because my grandmother on my mom's side, my mom's of 11, so it's 12 of them. She's 11 siblings. Yeah, so it's 12 of them total. So yeah, she had to have a child, I believe, every year of her life.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but that's insane because you're right. She would have been pregnant pretty much
Her whole life.
her whole
Yeah.
for at least more than a decade.
Her whole adult life for sure.
Just pregnant.
Yeah.
Damn.
What a way.
What a way to do it, bro.
Yeah.
How many children does your mom have?
I thought you were going to ask how many I have.
How many kids do you have?
I have one sister.
Okay, so you're 2.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm 2 as well. And
We're
you're
2. Yeah.
Damn, bro. And did your mom and parents, do they also have like a lot of siblings?
No, my dad had a brother and my mom has one sister.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's
Yeah.
because I feel like as the more up you get, the more kids it is. Like the higher the generations. I feel like people are having less kids for sure. In my head.
Yeah, also tends out to be like I think people who are like middle class and higher tend to have less kids as well. And like immigrants tend to have more kids. But then there's like a breakdown of it somewhere probably that like breaks that down. But in general, that's why like middle class millennials are having like no kids.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, you got to have a house before you can have a kid,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you don't have to.
You don't have to because poor people get it done. Dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
I will have one. There's a lot of pregnant comedians now. Like in my time when I started stand up to now, there's been so many successful female comedians that are not only getting pregnant but actively working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the pregnancy, which is so
Yeah, and doing specials while they're pregnant.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
that's like a thing now.
It's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Also, man, that is intense.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really truly appreciates like how crazy.
To tell jokes for 2? That's like, yeah, that's incredibly
And
crazy.
the travel, like they have to stop touring at a certain
That's
point.
what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about like the travel and just like all the shit, and then so to do all that while you're fucking pissing nonstop
Well,
and
they don't
feel
let-
terrible.
Also, they don't
And
let the
fat.
baby. They don't let the baby you on the plane when you're a certain amount of pregnant because it's dangerous for the baby. But they should also extend that to after the baby is born for a few months, just for everybody else.
Yeah. There should be no children on planes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because then it's like, well, then these kids are gonna want to visit, like, I want to visit my grandparents or whatever the fuck, or we want to make sure they visit their grandparents. You gotta let them do that.
Not till you're out of high school. Not till you're out of high school is when you're allowed on a plane.
It's like 18, you get to buy tobacco, what gamble, and see your grandparents.
Yeah. If they make it that long.
Well, now it gives everybody a goal. Everybody,
if they make it that far.
If they fucking make it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, we're like changing the world right now.
That's crazy.
Can I tell you guys an idea? I told Sam yesterday.
Yes.
Like while we were like on a walk, and you ever say something where you're like, I think that's the greatest idea of all time.
What?
I want to say it to y'all. Hopefully y'all agree. Mm-hmm. I think every Sunday for the rest of time, there should be no internet. Every Sunday, just on Sunday, bro, there's just no way to get a phone. There's no way to do. There is no internet. It does not exist on Sundays, bro.
I like that.
It's like Chick-fil-A. The internet's like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I will say that in college one day we had like a complete blackout for a day, like no internet, even electricity didn't work. But that was one of the best days because everyone was just outside and like you met a bunch of people and like, oh, this was what college was like before TV and internet. Bro. Yeah. It was awesome.
Just one day where like
I had a lot of blackouts in college. You just had one day?
Yeah.
That's crazy. People would struggle with the internet thing for sure, but I probably would be better for society.
I think that genuinely would change the whole world.
Yeah, in like a positive way.
I do. I think everybody just being off one day, bro. Just one day where and it became like a part of habit. You know what I'm saying? Because of course, most people you would just be on the internet every other day but Sunday. But for a lot of people, bro, it would be like, damn, maybe I don't like. It would immediately just change your whole thinking, bro.
Right.
It would change all of that shit.
Every Sunday, Al Gore's just like. He's got the switch, right?
Yeah.
That's fire, dude. That joke is so good it took a second. My fucking Wi-Fi had to catch that shit. That shit was crazy. Oh my God, the homie's here. Guys, Jessie Johnson's at the Solid Show, everybody.
Yay!
One of the best doing the business right here. She's a fucking goat. Jetski, you asked us to be on Spoil the Beans.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Spoil the Beans, bro. She's a fucking real one. She's an OG. She's been here since the beginning.
Right.
We've been friends with her for a long time. How long have we all been friends now?
Well, probably like I moved in May of 2017 to LA, so that's when I kind of started to get to know you guys. Mm-hmm. But I remember when it starts as kind of a bummer story, but it's not really to me, but other people might. But my dog died, and so nothing funny about that. But Ehsan, I was talking to him about it. He's like, it was potluck, and you were hosting, and I was talking to him about it in the parking lot, and I talked to him about him actually when I went to go do it, and then I came back, and he goes, "How is everything?" And I was like, "It was all right. It was kind of hard." And then I got put first on potluck, and I knew it was like a pity spot because we barely knew each other.
Right.
But then I was like, "Oh, he's my friend."
That's fucking awesome. Do you remember this?
Yeah, it's like, well, someone's having a rough day. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
Damn, bro,
why
that
not?
is true.
Just give them it costs me nothing to get someone up on potluck. They're having a rough day.
Yeah,
Why not give it a shot?
First spot. And I was like,
And it's like for you, it was like, yo, it's the first spot too, so it's a giveaway.
I didn't know her. I can't give her a late spot.
Oh,
That's a risk. That's a huge risk.
I was so bad then too, but I appreciated it and it meant a lot. And then but then I know we'd been friends for a long time too, but I think we really bonded in Phoenix.
That's where me and you really became like really tight. Yeah.
Because I was featuring for the Bad Friends, Bobby and Andrew, and you were featuring for Schultz. And it's like, people don't realize the life of the feature.
It's like,
Yeah, and so we see each other on the road, and we're staying at the same hotel because Schultz's 6 sold out shows at Stand Up Live. We're at the theater for one night. And so we're at the same hotel, and we are walking. I'm walking through the hotel. We meet at the hotel at the same time, and we just partied till like 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's just a good hung story. Out, bro, with the other guys too from the tour. Like it was just awesome. That was so much fun. But that is when we bonded. That is when it was like, okay.
We were like jumping on the bed at one point.
Yeah, we turned up. We literally got fucked up. We raided the fucking mini fridge. Like it was crazy, dog. But it was great. We bonded over like, wow, the life of the feature. Like nobody talks about this. Is such an interesting life that unless you're doing it, you don't even kind of get it.
It's such a specific life that only features and like a lot of headliners never featured. So it's like, oh, it's a very specific.
It's a very specific job and interesting, and just like the good things. And I mean, there's not any bad things, but just like anything that comes with like, oh, I got to deal with this, I got to deal with that. But it's funny it was nice to bond over it.
Yeah, and someday we'll be headlining nearby, and our features will
We'll
get
fucking
drunk.
bond.
And,
And then become friends.
Jump on the bed and raid a mini fridge.
Dude, and the cycle repeats.
Jumping on the bed. Wouldn't it be funny if I jumped out the window right now?
Oh yeah, we had to stop you from killing yourself. That happened. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Fun joke.
Yeah. And then we had like a long talk, and we got really serious. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the business, like tour life,
And like why living is worth it. And
Yeah, that was a good time. It was really, really scary. She's like, "Let me fly."
I'm on top of the world. Oh my
And
god.
I feel nothing. Oh god.
You'd have to tell Bobby and Andrew the next day.
Oh my god. Also,
No-
so the
no way
conspiracy
people-
that I didn't kill her.
yeah, everyone would think you'd kill her.
Oh,
Absolutely.
everyone would.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. Everyone would be like, well, everyone knows how mad Deric gets.
And it's like, what the fuck? You think he threw Jetski It's like she probably disagreed with Infinity War stuff. And it's like, what? So he killed her?
Bobby would be like, well, can you open for us? We need an opener now.
Oh my god.
God,
So glad you're here.
I can't wait to hear what the movie is.
I'm excited to tell you, we found a movie that you have not seen. We picked a classic. But before we get into it, real quick, hey, Ehsan, how's Kill Bill 2?
Oh, yes, yeah, that was the last episode we did. But movie-wise, I watched Kill Bill 2. Have you seen it?
Yes, I've seen it. I love the Kill Bills.
Oh, yeah. It was my first time watching Kill Bill 2 yesterday. Phenomenal. That scene where she gets up out of the bathroom, her and Elle are fighting. And she gets out of the bathroom and she stands in the bathroom with fucking Bud's sword.
Yes.
And she's like in the doorway and she's standing there. That might be the coolest shot in all of movie history.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, that's one of those shots that's like nuts.
In the trailer. The trailer's fucking beat to shit.
Right.
Remember when I was trying to explain the fight scene?
Yeah, how she can't open her
bro,
sword.
How fire is that fight scene? The
Yeah.
choreography of that fight scene is so good.
Yeah.
It's in a trailer and it's a full it might as well be a crazy gun fight battle.
I thought it was cool that Elle only really kills people with poison, and then the one fight you see her in, even though it's a great fight, she loses.
She does lose.
Yeah.
She does lose. Yeah, because she kills her fucking master with poison. She kills Bud with poison.
And in the first movie, she almost kills.
almost
She
kills
tries
Uma with
to.
poison.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You know what I mean? What a fucking. Did you like the telling of it? Did I miss it? Did anything surprise you or anything where you're like, whoa?
No, it was just good to finally see it. And I think I got like that same feeling again. It's like this movie is like very like it feels like Shakespeare. The way they talk, the way their dialogue is, how they act.
Yeah.
Like it's just something different. There's no movie. There's really no movie like it.
Where
And-
art thou, Bill?
Yeah. To kill or not to kill? That's the question. Yeah, and it's like it's so interesting. It's very Tarantino. It's like heavy action, heavy dialogue, and it all matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dog.
It all matters.
Phenomenal. Well, I would say today the movie we're doing, truly at par with Kill Bill 2.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with this.
This is one of the. This is literally, if you look up, this is one of the greatest films in movie history.
Mm-hmm.
This is always in the top 100 lists. Any list you check, it'll always be there. And it's one of those it'll stay there. This is one of probably the best coming of age story ever. The way it's told, you know what I mean by coming of age story, like like the kind of movie where like you see a kid grow up,
Yeah.
type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of the best probably ever. Back when we were doing sketches, I don't know how many sketches we did based off this movie.
Yeah.
I
Because it's
love
just
your sketches.
Yeah.
thank you.
Anybody who is watching or listening who hasn't seen them, they can find them on your Instagram. Right?
Yeah, just you got to do some scrolling. They're deep.
And not even all of them. Some of them are too hot for Instagram. But yeah, they were.
I believe
A lot of them were, a lot of them got taken down. I'd say majority. Because we made not even exaggerating, we made definitely over 300 sketches.
Yeah.
and I'd say 200 got taken down.
That's crazy. They were funny.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to have fun, but a lot of them, I'd say at least maybe 5 to 10 were based around this movie in some way. That's how good this movie is. I'm so excited to tell it to you. Before we tell it to you, I just want you, because you know the show, but I just want you to, Ehsan, you want to explain to her what it's like to be just.
What do you mean?
Just like, you know what.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. So while you listen to the movie, if you want to interrupt at any time, absolutely interrupt Deric. We like talking about it. I will serve, because I've seen this movie. I will serve as, like, you ever watch a DVD and they have, like, cool facts, like the DVD extras pop up on the screen? I will be serving as that. You'll hear, you know? So have fun, enjoy the movie. This is gonna be. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, this is why you don't have to do anything if you want to. And also, if you don't want to, if you want to just sit there and watch the movie.
I should have brought popcorn.
We literally,
we thought about it.
I also thought about it, and I went to the gas station late last night, and I was so drunk, and they had Twizzlers, and I was like, no, I need red vines. I'll get them in the morning, and then I woke up late.
Oh, you know what? From now on, we'll bring popcorn
it was
and red vines.
Sam's idea last night. She's like, you should bring snacks, and I was like, that's such a good idea. And then I slept in instead.
It happens. It happens.
But I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Ehsan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Val, shut the fuck. No, Val, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
The movie starts.
Ooh, I'm not gonna have her guess. You wanna have her guess?
No.
No. Oh,
Okay.
Movie starts.
A movie that starts.
Credits roll. We hear cars on the highway as credits are just kind of keep rolling, right? Mm-hmm. Finally, we see a car driving. New York. Shut the fuck up, fax machine.
I didn't know. I don't know the name of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh no, you will. You will.
Okay.
You're just watching. You're just watching.
Oh, I'm watching it.
Yeah.
So, New York, 1970. We see our lead in the movie, Ray Liotta, the actor. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Awesome. We see Robert De Niro.
Who's that? Is that a good De Niro?
That's pretty fire.
Put a bow on you? Holy shit.
I can't do this.
You got De Niro and you got Joe Pesci. All right, they're all in a car. The car starts rattling like they drive them. The car starts just and you hear Ray Liotta go, "Oh shit, did I hit something?" And then they're like, "Is it a flat?" Like, "Yo, what's going on?" Like, pull over and see. So they pull over. They get out the car and they see the trunk is just rattling. You see Joe Pesci grab a knife. They kind of all look at each other. Ray Liotta opens the trunk. It's a dude beat to fucking shit. It's a dude beat to a bloody fucking pulp.
A hooker?
A guy.
No, a guy.
Could have been.
Yeah. A male hooker?
Yeah. You see a dude beat to fucking shit. And he's like, no. And then you see Joe Pesci go, he's still alive, this piece of fucking shit. Look at me. Pop, pop. Stabs him a bunch of times. Like Wally saying, look at me. Piece of shit. And he keeps stabbing him. And then De Niro walks up. Pow, pow, pow. Shoots him. And then the camera pans in on Ray Liotta. And he goes, as far back as I can remember, I wanted to be a gangster. Goodfellas, all right?
Oh, yeah. I've always wanted to see this movie.
Oh, dude, you're about to fucking see it, dog.
Yeah, I'm so glad that this is how you're first seeing it. That's phenomenal.
Oh, this movie's the tits.
Yeah.
I know I'd go from rags to riches. Credits are rolling, all right? Now you're just getting like, Italian vibes. We on some gangster shit, okay?
Right.
We see a kid, this young kid. This is young Ray Liotta. Mm-hmm. All right, and he goes, to me, being a gangster was better than being the president of the United States. What a fucking crazy line.
Yeah.
To mean that shit?
Yeah.
East New York, Brooklyn, 1955. Mm-hmm. We see him looking at these gangsters. They're at a cab, like he's in his apartment looking across the street, and you see a cab stand. Mm-hmm. And he's looking at him. He's like, man, he's just admiring him. Like, man, these guys did what they wanted. They never got tickets. They parked their car whatever the fuck they wanted. They played cars all night. No one ever called the cops on them. We see like cool gangsters getting out of like cool cars, cool suits.
Have you seen The Sopranos?
Yes.
Okay, so what's cool about this is that there's 24 actors who are in this and in The Sopranos.
Whoa.
So there's 24. And there's one guy who's in Sopranos, Goodfellas, Godfather in this. But one of the
Trinity.
Well, yeah, he's the only one. One of the wise guys, one of the gangsters you see is Paulie from The Sopranos. He's one of them. Just
kept
in the
it
beginning.
in the family.
Yo, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
And also, a lot of those wise guys were actual mobsters that they hired. They had an open call for them.
That's tight.
Sick.
Yep.
So that's Tutty. You see this big guy. He's got a cigar in his mouth. He ran the cab stand and the pizzeria for his brother, Paulie. Now, Paulie was the boss. You see a big dude with a cigar. Now, Paulie might have moved slow, but that's only because Paulie didn't have to move for nobody. Now, at first, my parents loved that I found a job at the cab stand because it was across the street from the house. It was awesome. My Irish father, he liked that I had a job. I'm only 11 years old. You see him leaving for school. He's got he's got a little brother in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? He's got like some family, but he's leaving for school. His mom kisses him, like normal shit, right? And he leaves, and you see him bend the corner, and then he cuts, takes off running. You see him run to the cab stand. And he starts parking cars. Like all he does now, he's skipping school. He's parking gangsters' cars. He's happy as shit. He goes, here I am, a little kid. I can't even see over the steering wheel. And I'm parking Cadillacs.
That's like me when I worked a lot at the car.
You know what's crazy? I very much feel.
We're all lot guys.
Yes.
Lot guys! When we put our powers together.
Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah. When we all combine our powers, we become a car.
I didn't know that.
But I very much can relate to this scene because, as you guys know, the parking cars thing, you're like, it is a cool, when you first get that job and you're parking these cool-ass cars,
Sebastian coming in with his shit.
but the Porsche and the Range Rover.
Tim Dillon's got his Bentley.
Oh, my, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and it does feel like the first job you have for the mafia. So
Yeah.
that is very relatable.
And it's in what I like about it, because you see, like, oh wow, of course you're parking their cars because it is a way to get cool with everybody. They gotta say something to you. They gotta say something on the way in, on the way out. They gotta say something. They gotta get their keys. And just like I'm assuming in this situation, you're building this rapport
Right.
with all these mobsters.
Right.
I get it. I relate
And
to the mafia.
It feels very mafia.
And all the
Comedy
cars, I
sometimes.
had to move the seats up for most of them because my feet didn't reach the pedal.
that's
so
funny.
Damn, that's so
I
true.
relate to, what is he, 11 in this?
But yeah, if there's any young door guy here who's working or who wants to work at the Comedy Store, I take it from all three of us, worked a lot.
Yeah.
Best spot, not even close. So you see him leaving for school. I mean, no, you see him parking the Cadillacs, right? We see the gangsters doing shit like with cop. Like you see, like he's watching, observing, like all the gangsters like making deals with cops, like and he was like, man, just you see him like sitting there and watching this. He's like, I felt like I was a part of something, like I belonged. They treated me like a grown up. Every day I learned how to score. Every day I was making $1 here, $2 there. I was living in a fantasy world. You see, his dad come up to him, right? Cut to, you see he's at the house, right? His dad comes up to him like, hey, you had a good day at school? And you hear the voiceover. Like the voiceover is going over the whole movie.
Yeah.
That's why you just hear this kid talking the whole movie, right? Well, him, Ray Liotta. And the dad, Dad's like, you had a good day at school, huh? And he's like, my father was always pissed. He had no money. My brother was in a wheelchair. We all lived in this tiny ass house. He was just pissed. And he goes, yeah, I was at school. He goes, letter from school right here. It says you haven't been in months. And you see his face. In fucking months! Boom! He hits him right across his face. Then he starts beating the shit out of him. You're a bum! You're a goddamn bum! And then he's just beating him and beating. And then he goes, you hear the voiceover. He goes, after a while, he was pissed I was at the cab stand. And every once in a while, I'd have to take a beating for that. And then the camera pauses. And you hear him go, but I didn't care. The way I saw it, everyone takes a beating. So you see him, he tells the gangsters, like, yo, you see he's all beat up, right? And the little kid, he's telling the gangsters, he's like, hey, I can't work no more. My dad says, I can't do it no more. I got to go to school, yada, yada. And the gangsters are like, what? So they take him and they go, all right, they take him to the mailman place. They go to the post office.
Okay, for a second I was like, did you not know what a post office was? The mailman place, where they hatch. Wherever they hatch the mailmen, we took them there.
It's like Chipotle, but instead of food, it's mail.
That's how I describe the post. They go to the post office. They're like, yo, point out your mailman. And the little kid points him out. They go, all right. They run up, they grab him, and they bring him to the pizza shop. They throw him in the car. The mailman's like, what the fuck? And they go, you know this kid? And the mailman's like, yeah. You know where he lives? Yeah. From now on, no letter comes from that school to this kid's house. If another letter comes from that school to this kid's house, you're going in the fucking oven. And they go to throw him in the oven, and he's like, ah. And the camera pauses, right? And he was like, you hear the voiceover. He goes, and that was it. No more letters from school, from honestly nobody. How could I go back to school after that? You want me to go back to school and pledge allegiance to the flag after I saw some shit like that?
Awesome.
Crazy, right? And they start talking. You hear the voiceover. You see he's observing Paulie, the big dog. He's like, man, Paulie hated phones. He wouldn't have any phones. So what he would do is he had Tutty, his number 2, run all his calls. So you see, like in the rain, you see Tutty in the phone booth taking a call and then running in the rain with little Henry's got the umbrella holding it above him, and they run all the way up, and then he knocks on the door and he tells Paulie something, and Paulie just goes, like says like one word, then he closes the door, he runs all the way back across the street, makes the phone call, like, you know what I mean? Like gangster shit.
Right.
And you see that, man, for a guy who made moves all day long, Paulie only talked to 6 people. Only the top guys met with him. Only one-on-one conversations. He hated conferences. He didn't want anyone knowing what he said, or he didn't want anyone knowing what he heard. So he'd have hundreds of guys that worked for Paulie, and he got a piece of everything. It was tribute, like the old country. You know, and all you got from Paulie was protection. You got protection from any other people trying to fuck with your shit. And that's honestly what it's all about. That's what the FBI doesn't understand. They offer protection for people who can't go to the cops. A police department for wise guys. That's what we really are. So we see Henry, right? He's breaking into car windows at night. He's pouring, like, he's 11 still. And he's pouring, he's 13 now. He's pouring gasoline, like, in the car windows. Just like in all these different car windows, right? And he goes, man, he said, after a couple years, things changed. People looked at me different. I never waited in line no more. You know, you see him lighting the cars on fire, right? So all these cars, they're starting to flame up. He goes, at 13, I had more money than I could spend. I had it all. You see him running. He's running away from the cars, and they all blow up behind him in a parking lot, and it's a freeze frame. And he goes, one day, some kids carried my mom's groceries home. You know why they did it? Out of respect. And then you see he goes home, right? He's in a baller-ass gangster suit. He's still 13, and his mom's like, he's like, Mom, look at me. And she's like, oh, my God. You look like a fucking gangster. And he's like all happy about it, right?
Right.
So right then, you see him next day, he's at the cab stand. A guy's like, I've been shot. He runs in, he's shot. And he's like, they shot me. Henry kind of freaks out. He's like, man, this is the first time I've ever seen anybody be shot before. I remember feeling so bad for the guy. You see him like wrapping a bunch of aprons around him. And Tutty's like, man, like, Henry, you fucking jerk, wasting all my aprons on this fucking idiot who got shot. We got to toughen you up. You're fucking still like, you still a little pussy. You like still a little pussy, yada, yada. And you could tell, like, he's like, damn, the gun shit, like, kind of like, you see that throughout the movie. Like, oh, man, he ain't really, like, he's violent, but it's interesting with him.
Yeah. Because even in the first scene when De Niro shoots the guy a bunch of times, you see his face, and he's like,
kind of jumps. Like
that part.
Yeah, you can tell he ain't, like, you'll see he don't fuck with this dude.
Yes.
But he ain't like the people he running with all the way. So late night, you see all the gangsters playing cards. You hear the voiceover. It was a glorious time. Wise guys all over the place. And it was the first time I met Jimmy Conway. In walks a young De Niro. Bro, this nigga's such a good actor, bro. It don't make no sense.
Yeah.
He walks in, he's like, man, he was already 28 and a legend. And you see him, like, right when he's walking in, he's giving everybody money.
Yeah.
He's just slipping everybody hundreds.
Hundreds, yeah. And he has an interesting look. Every suit that De Niro wears in this film has a matching ring and watch.
Whoa.
Yeah. And this role was originally meant for Pacino, and Pacino turned it down. Says it's one of his biggest regrets.
Damn. That's crazy.
Because he said he didn't want to be typecast as a member of the mob. And then, ironically, that same year, he was in a mob movie, and he went up against Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci is won an Oscar for this movie. He ran against Joe Pesci for that Oscar in a mob movie.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so this was Pacino's this was originally meant for Pacino.
Interesting.
I mean, De Niro fucking...
Yeah, De Niro is...
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even see this character any other way now. The suit thing is crazy. It's like, wow, the detail for that. Because it's like, this dude is like that. He's a smooth motherfucker, bro.
And he's suited up constantly.
Every scene is a different suit and it looks fly.
There's one scene where he's not in a suit and it really sticks out. We'll talk about that later.
Ooh. So you see him like handing out hundreds and shit, and he goes, man, everyone loved him, you know. And he's like, hey, this is our boy. You see young Henry come over, and they go, hey, Jimmy, want you to, and Paulie, the big gangster's like, Jimmy, want you to meet Kid Henry. And he goes, hey, how's it doing, kid? And he slides some money in his thing, and he's like, thank you. And he goes, Jimmy was feared in the city. He was doing hits at 16. Like, this motherfucker's a real gangster. He said the hits never bothered him. That was just regular business to him. But he really loved to steal. Like, he enjoyed that shit. Jimmy was the kind of guy, when we went and see the movies, he rooted for the bad guy. And you see De Niro, like, rob a truck, and then, like, when he robs, like, you see him rob a truck, right? And then after he robs the semi-truck, he looks at the dude, and he, like, slips him some of the money.
The guy he robbed?
Yeah.
The driver, yeah.
Like, he's just like that kind of dude where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
damn, bro, you can't really hate him, you know?
All right.
So right then, we see another young kid who's like 13, all right? And they go, Henry. This here, Jimmy's introduced him, like, this is another friend of mine. This is Tommy, all right? You see a young Tommy. This is young Joe Pesci.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he's going to help you out he's going to help you with stuff, yada, yada. And Henry's like, all right, cool. So they say, what's up? He's like, y'all two are going to work together. And you see, like, right then you see Jimmy making deals with the cops. He made them their partners, all this shit. Like, they're just making deals, like selling cigarettes and all this. So you see Henry and Tommy, they're selling cigarettes, like illegally. Right then, some cops show up, like other cops show up. And you see fucking Tommy, like, take off running, and they get Henry. And they're like, what are you doing, kid? He's like, what? It's all right. They're like, what are you doing? You out here selling cigarettes? Where'd you get these? He's like, what do you mean? It's fine. And they arrest him, and he's like, oh, shit. So they take him to court. Right then, a lawyer shows up, like this gangster-ass lawyer. The judge, it's a really subtle shot. The judge sees the lawyer. I never even noticed it until I've seen this movie 100 times. I never noticed it until today. Right when the lawyer walks in, the judge goes, so subtle. Like, because it's like, oh, I already know it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, now I know, oh, this kid's involved with.
And his hands are tied.
Yep.
I'm
like,
sure of it.
You're a
Yeah.
part of this shit, you
Yeah.
know? And so right then the lawyer walks in, the lawyer kind of smiles. And then they go through it. You see him, he ends up being fine. He comes out the court. When he comes out, Jimmy's right there and he congratulates him. You know, De Niro, and he's like, here's some money. He's like, oh, you giving me money? I thought you'd be mad at me. He said, no, I'm proud of you. You took the pension, you took it like a man. You said nothing. And you learned the two greatest things in life. There's only two. And he's like, what's that? You never rat on your friends, and you always keep your mouth shut. And then right when he comes outside, they open the doors, all the gangsters are there. And they're all like, hey, you got your first bench. And he's like, oh, and they're all happy for him and shit. They're hugging him. And he's so happy, bro. He's like just in heaven.
Yeah.
Idlewild Airport, 1963. Now times have changed. We see Henry now, he a grown-ass man. Now it's Ray Liotta, all right? And he's with Joe Pesci. And they're chilling at a diner, you know what I mean? And they're just talking. And then they casually just rob a semi-truck. Like, while they're just, like, you can tell that's how, like,
It's just like clockwork.
it's clockwork
Right.
now,
Yeah.
dog. This is what we do. And then he does a voiceover how, like, apparently what they did was, to make all their money, is they would just rob the airport. To them, they looked at the airport like a city bank. Whenever they needed money, just rob that motherfucker. So that's what they're doing, just robbing shit coming in and out of the airports, right?
Right.
You see amazing shots of, like, all the gangsters going through a bar. This is, like, one great shot. And you hear the voiceover, and he's saying, like, the whole crew, everybody. And he's like, and it's like one long shot, and you see all the gangsters in this club, and he's like, there was Jimmy, Tommy, and me. Then you had Frankie Carbone, and you hear a guy go, yeah, how's it doing? You had Mo Black's, the brother Fan Andy, and you see a guy go, how's it going? You got his guy, Frankie the Wop. You got Freddie No Nose. You got Pete the Killer, Sally Ball's brother. You had Nicky Eyes. You had Mikey Cranchese. You had Jimmy Two Times. He got that nickname because he always said everything twice. And he's like, I'm gonna get the papers. And then he's like, bro, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, for us to live any other way would be nuts. You know, goody two-shoe people who work for paychecks and had to go to their 9-to-5 and get on the subway. To us, they were already dead. Suckers, no balls. We wanted something. We took that shit. Anyone complained, they got hit. He got hit so bad, they'd never complain again. And you see all the boys hanging at dinner just having a good time, right? And so right then, Henry, like, you see a dude walking the bar. And Henry's like, sees him, he's like, oh, come here. So they go and they call over Jimmy. De Niro walks over. And he goes, tell him French. And French is like, yo, it's too good to be true. The biggest score of all time from Air France. Bags of money. It's totally untraceable. All we got to do is get a key, and that's the only thing. If I'm right, I'm talking maybe $500,000, right? All cash. And he's like, damn. Well, he's like, the best time I think we do it is over the weekend. And he's like, if we do it over the weekend, it's a Jewish holiday Monday, so they won't find out till Tuesday. And then Jimmy's like, well, what about security? And the guy's like, I'm the security. It's a fucking joke. And then they all start laughing. They're like, we're in. Lock it in. We're doing it. Cut back to, you see, they're all hanging out. Tommy, Joe Pesci, is telling a story. Now, this is probably one of the greatest scenes. Like, what I'm about to tell you, you probably maybe even heard it, because it's one of the biggest scenes in movie history. So they're all hanging out at the bar. Joe Pesci's telling a story. He's got everybody laughing. He's telling the story about how this cop had arrested him, and he's like, and then the cop was questioning me, and he said anything, and I was like, go fuck your mother. Boom, bang, bow, everybody's laughing. He's like, and then the cop said something else. I was like, why don't you go fuck your mother again? Boom, bang, bow. And the cop said something else, and I was like, I thought you were busy fucking your mother. You know, boom, bang, bang. Everybody's laughing, right? Everybody's having a good time. You see Henry. Henry's like, oh my God, oh, you're funny. God, you're really funny. And then it kind of quiets down, and Joe Pesci's like, "What you mean I'm funny?" And he's like, it's funny. You're just the story. You're funny. You're a funny guy. Yeah, have you seen the scene?
No,
Okay. He goes, "What do you mean I'm funny? Like the way I talk is funny?" He goes, "No, it's just it's funny." And then right after that one, you feel the mood. Everybody else is kind of like,
Oh shit.
what the fuck?
Oh shit. Yeah.
And Henry's like, "No, Tommy, you got it all wrong." Like, and then and then another guy is like, "Yeah, Tommy, I think you got it all wrong." He's like, "Whoa, Anthony. He's a big boy. How am I funny? Funny how?" And he's like, "I mean, you're funny." He goes, "Let me understand. I mean, maybe I'm fucked up in the head. I'm funny how? Like a clown? Like I'm funny, like I make you laugh? I'm here to fucking amuse you? Funny how?" And he's like, how you tell the story, How would I know? What the fuck? What do you mean, how the fuck would I know? What the fuck is so funny about me, Henry? What the fuck is so funny? You tell me what's so funny." And he's staring at him. And Henry's like, "Yo, get the fuck out of here, man." He's like, I almost had him. And everybody,
Oh my God.
but here's what's crazy, though. Everybody's laughing, but everybody wasn't in on that joke, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it was only him.
Well, so
Yeah,
that
you delivered that because I was getting scared.
Oh, that was beautiful delivery. So that scene actually was not written
Get
in
the
it
fuck
wasn't
outta
written
here.
in the script. So that scene,
Whoa.
Pesci went to Scorsese before the filming and told Scorsese the story about how when he was a younger guy working at a restaurant, he told a mobster he was funny, and it didn't go how he thought. So Scorsese was like, "Let's put that in the film." But the only people who knew that it was happening were him and Pesci. So it's not in the script. Liotta didn't know. All the people in the scene didn't know.
That's why the mood change is real.
Yes.
Because you can see it, bro. You
That's
can
so
see everyone
cool.
in the scene like,
What the fuck
is happening right
yeah,
now?
Yeah. Like, because it wasn't in the script. It was just something that Pesci and Scorsese talked about.
That's
Damn, because that happened to Pesci for real?
And that happened to Pesci for real.
Damn, he's been around some real motherfuckers, bro. That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And he's like, they're laughing and shit. He's like, "I worry about you, Henry. I worry you may fold under questioning," right? Another guy right then comes up and goes, "Hey, yo, Tommy, it's the manager of the restaurant they're in." He's like, "Hey, I got the check, yada, yada." And he's like, "No, let's put it on my tab." He's like, "Yeah, but it's 7 G's. You already owe me, like, that ain't peanuts, Tommy, And he's like, "What, are you trying to embarrass me? You embarrassing me in front of my fucking, you fucking son of a mutt. All the money we spend in this motherfucker." He grabs him and he just breaks a bottle over his head. And he's like, "Yeah," and then everyone else is just laughing. This is also, everyone's just laughing at this dude. And he's like, "Oh, yeah." And then he starts fucking with the waiter. He's like, "You believe these pricks? Huh? And then he's like, "Man, you really are a funny guy." He's like, "That's it, Henry." And he pulls out a gun. He like jumps on him. Everybody's having a good time. Cut to the next day. Everybody's just like, Tommy, you serial killer. Cut to the next day. The manager is telling the big gangster, Paulie, like, "Yo, man, about Tommy, like, yo, he treats me like half a fag. Like, I don't like this guy. Like, I don't like, I don't like the way he talks to me. He's running up the bill. He don't listen to nobody." And then Paulie's like, "What do you want me to do?" Tommy's, he's a bad kid. That's what he does. Like, what the fuck you want me to do about it? And then he's got me looking over both my shoulders of Paulie. He's got me scared at night. I'm scared to walk around, go do stuff. Like, this motherfucker he makes me nervous. Right then, Henry's like, "Well, look, tell Paulie what we talked about." And the guy's like, "Hey, Paulie, how about you coming to help the restaurant with me? You can come in on it with me." He's like, "I'm begging you." He's like, "What the fuck? What do you want from me? I don't know nothing about the restaurant business. I order a meal. That's what I know about the restaurant business." He's like, "No, that's all you got to know. You don't have to do anything. I'll run all the business. For you, it's just a place to hang. I just need some help." And he's like, "Look, what do you want me to do? Just go to the restaurant with me just because Tommy's a bad seed? What do you want me to shoot him?" And he's like, "Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea." And then Paulie kind of just stares at him. He's like, "Look, I didn't mean nothing by that." He's like, "All right, you want me to be a partner?" And he literally looks at Henry and goes, "I mean, this is too easy." He says that. He's like, "This is too easy." I'm like, "All right, I'll help you." He said, now the guy doesn't realize he's got Paulie as a partner. So any problems, you can go to Paulie. Somebody doesn't want to pay up, go to Paulie. Somebody doesn't want to do this, you can go to Paulie. Anybody fucking with you can go to Paulie, no matter what. But only problem with that, you got to pay Paulie. So you didn't make a lot of money this week? Fuck you, pay Paulie. Oh, this is a bad month? Fuck you, pay Paulie. Oh, like something broke in the kitchen? Who gives a fuck? Pay Paulie. And so you see the dude like kind of realizing like as time goes by, like, oh, fuck, right? And so you see Paulie like running his business to the ground, like you like running up his credit card. Finally, the guy has to sign over the deal. And then once the guy signs over the deal, Paulie burns the place down for the insurance money anyway. And he has like Tommy and Henry do it. Like, that's why he was looking at Henry like, this is too easy. Like, we're about to just fucking take all this guy's shit.
Yeah, take all his money, and they're using his business too as like like any sort of stolen goods they store there. They like use that as their front. Like the guy fucked himself going into business with him.
Hardcore.
Damn.
And he goes, and for Paulie, nothing mattered. It was all profit, you know? And then once it's all done and it's all said and done, we drain the guy out, you bust out the joint and you light a match. You see Henry and Tommy, they light the place on fire. As they're waiting outside for the restaurant to burn, this is what I thought was a really cool scene. They're waiting outside for the restaurant to burn as they're having this very casual conversation. Like Tommy's like, Tommy's like, yo, come on, bro. Like, I'm trying to bang this broad. I've been trying to bang this broad for a fucking month, and she won't go out with me alone. He's like, well, no. And then Henry's like, no. And he's like, what do you mean no? I didn't even say anything yet. He's like, I already know what you're about to ask me. Don't. He's like, I didn't fucking ask you anything. Just let me fucking talk. I'm just saying, you know, this fucking girl, she said she doesn't want to go out with Italians alone. She's racist against Italians. Can you believe that? She's fucking prejudiced against Italians. A Jew broad. Prejudiced against Italians. Well, anyway, she won't go out with me unless her friends come. So you got to also come tomorrow night. And he goes, I can't. I got to meet Tuddy. He's like, oh, come on, bro. What do you mean you got to meet Tuddy? He's like, come on, come out with me. I'm asking you. He's like, Tommy, fuck. He's like, Tommy, fuck. Damn, I'm asking you a favor. I can't ask you a fucking favor. I've helped you plenty of fucking times, Henry. You know, he starts yelling. He's like, I'm trying to fuck this Jew broad. She's might have a lot of money. This might be a good thing for all of us, right? And then right then as they're arguing, you see the place start burning, and then they drive off. Next night, they're on a date. You see Henry, he's pissed. He don't want to be at this fucking date. He's already annoyed. We see his date, Karen, all right?
She's played by Lorraine Bracco, the therapist in Sopranos.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Interesting. So you see her, right? She's one of the leads in this movie. And you hear the voice over him. He's like, I couldn't wait to get away. I had fucking business. I'm just going to have my coffee and get the fuck out of here, right? And he keeps saying like, yo, I got to go. And they're like, oh, come on, chill, I got to go. You finally, the camera pans over to her. And you hear her voiceover. And she's like, I couldn't stand him.
Oh, that's the first shift in like. That's insane.
Yeah.
How long is that in the movie? Like,
probably
30
like
minutes?
20 minutes
30 minutes.
That's
in.
crazy.
Oh, yeah, really, very well done. I mean, masterfully done.
I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, it was really cool to like show like, oh wow, she's a lead in this.
Yeah, it was just this and Scrubs that I've seen the narration flip. It's the only two.
Both legendary.
Yeah.
Both legendary.
And so the reason why the narration is so good is that it's done with the sound, like the sound guy is sitting in front of both of them while they're filming the narration, so they're telling the story to the sound guy. So that's why it feels like they're really telling the story to you, because they're telling the story to somebody.
Wow.
Interesting. That's so good, because it does feel like it. It feels like someone's telling you a story.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand him. He kept fidgeting around. And, you see her just looking at him. She hates him. Before it was time to go home, he pushed me into the car. He pulled me out of the car, and then you see her, you see like him like taking her to the house, and he drives off. And she goes, I hated him. But Diane, my friend, and Tommy made us promise to meet again on Friday night. Then Friday comes, and he stood me up. And you see her like crying on the date by himself. And Tommy's like, I don't know what to do. I feel terrible. And he's just like eating food. I'm like, I told him to be here. Maybe he got the date wrong. Honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I'm kind of worried. I'm honestly a little worried. He never does this, right? And she goes, but I didn't care. I was so mad. I made Tommy take me out all night looking for him. So you see Tommy pull up on him, right? And he's like, yo, Tommy, what the fuck? And she gets out the car. And she goes, you got some nerve standing me up. Who you think you are, Frankie Valli? You think you some big shot?
And it's in front of all the wise guys.
And so everybody's like, oh, like screaming shit. Henry's like, whoa. And then he's like, yo, I'm sorry. I thought it was next week. She's like, it wasn't next week. It was Friday. It was this Friday. And it makes you a liar. And he's like, no, I'm not a liar. Let's talk about this. And then she's like, no, I don't want to talk to you. He's like, yo, take it easy. Let me talk. And like, you can see he's laughing now. Like, damn, all right. Yeah. He's like, I thought you didn't like me. I mean, you look like you were going to stand me up. And she's like, no, I don't want to talk to you. He's like, well, let me make it up to you. She's like, no. He's like, let me make it up to you. She's like, I'll think about it. And he's like, and then you hear the voiceover. Man, I remember her screaming on that street. God damn, she looked good.
Oh, it's a love story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, technically.
Yeah.
It's a rom-com? I had no idea.
Yeah. From here on out, it's just hijinks.
It's
just hijinks.
Silly little, like, what side of the bed we're going to sleep on games.
Yeah.
So he picks her up for the next day, and now he picks her up, and he's like into her.
Oh, this is a cool.
This is one of the best shots of movie history.
In movie history, right here.
So he's like, hello. She's like, hey, Henry. And then she's like, this is my mom, Henry. This is my mom, Henry Hill. Yada, like she introduces him to her mom, and she's like, how's it going, Henry? My daughter says you're half Jewish, and he's like, the good half. Like he's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So he takes her to this cool place, right? And then they park the car, and then he parks his car like right in front and just gets out and walks out, right? And she's like, are you gonna leave your car here? He's like, oh yeah, it's easier than just putting it in a garage. And she's like, okay. Then they see this huge line But this shit is fire. They
Yeah.
cut like if you're on a date, this is fire to do.
Yeah.
They cut past the line and then they start going down some stairs, right? And she's looking at the line. He's like, it's just way better than waiting in line. She's like, okay. They go through the back. He slides someone some money and he's like, yo, what up, Henry? And the guy lets him in. She's like, what the fuck? As he walks in, it's all one shot, mind you.
Yeah, so we'll say this, from the car, him getting out of the car to when we tell you, this is all one shot.
Wow.
Crazy. Like the rehearsal on this must have been insane. So you see him, and what's so cool is he knows everybody. So he's walking through the kitchen. He's saying what's up to everybody. Everybody knows him. She's kind of like, what? You gotta remember, he's only 21 years old. So she's like, what the fuck? You know, this nigga, like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Right? He goes to the kitchen. He's saying what's up. He's like touching food. Like he knows that he can do whatever, right? The owner literally comes up and is like, Henry, how's it going? He's like, oh, how's it going, sir? And then they bring out a table. They don't give him a table. They bring out a table from the back.
Imagine in the main room if someone came in and you had to go pick up a table and put it
from the OR. You're like, I'm gonna
OR.
go grab a table from the OR
Yeah.
because we gotta bring it. This is how famous this works. Like this is how big of a deal this is.
Yeah.
So they bring in a table, bro. They set it, put it right in the front, yada yada.
Right in the front.
You hear people complaining like, yo, when are we gonna sit? They just they walk by everybody.
Right.
You know, you see Henry give this person $20. He gives the owner some money, right? And then she's looking at him like, you just gave a bunch of people $20 each. And he's like, yeah, no, it's okay.
He's like, you are Jewish.
Fire. That was just well done. That was just legendary. He's like, it's all good. Right when they sit down, somebody sends some drinks to him, like immediately. And then she's like, what the fuck? And then the guy like tips his cat to him and he's like, yo, thank you. And she's like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a construction. And then right then, like somebody goes to start singing. She goes, this doesn't feel like construction. And then he goes, I'm a union delegate. And then the lights go down, and then they're like, and out comes Henny Youngman. And then a guy comes out who's literally a comedian with a violin, fire. And it's literally a famous old comedian. He's like, hey, how's it going? Glad to be here. Take my wife. Like literally the guy who does that joke.
That.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that
Old
joke, and it
school,
hits. Pretty
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
He's like, take my wife, please. He says it again. Cut to, we see Tommy and Henry at the airport the next day.
Okay, so from the car to the comedian saying his opening jokes, that is one shot.
That's insane.
That's insane. That means the comedian had to time it right.
Well, they had to do the shot 8 times because the comedian kept flubbing his lines.
That's crazy. Only 8. I would think. Oh, but that's the
That's
only
the
reason.
reason why.
Because of the comic?
Yeah, because of the comic.
Honestly, he might have been doing something because that's hilarious.
Yeah. They said that was he kept flubbing his lines at the end.
What would he say?
I have no idea.
Take my life. I mean, my.
Well, also, just coincidentally, I learned this from Soda because Soda was here this weekend, and he said so. The term stand-up comedian doesn't come from the fact that we like stand up and tell jokes. So in the mob world, someone who's cool is like a stand-up guy. So like someone who a fighter who would fix boxing matches, like who would lose on purpose, that was called a stand-up fighter. So a comedian, back in those days, almost all the nightclubs were run by the mob. So any comedian that was cool and wouldn't like shit on the mob, they call, oh, he's a stand-up comedian.
Whoa.
And that's where we get the term.
That's badass. I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Uh-huh. And that's how it came to fruition. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's actually nuts.
Yeah, and that's wild that I just learned this weekend from some guy who just brought it up randomly. It's not like he knew we were doing Goodfellas.
Whoa.
Yeah, connections, right?
Yes.
Connections. That's so cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
You're
I can't imagine how fucking mad everyone was every time the comedian flubbed his lines. Like, dude, we all nailed this dance perfectly.
I want to see the outtakes.
I would love to, man, I'd love to see all 8. I would love to see all the
Because how long
outtakes.
do you think it's like probably 6-7 minute take?
For sure, probably
Maybe less.
Probably like 5-minute take, maybe 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, 4 to 5 minute take. But the amount of setup that they have to keep doing, because like when they're going through the kitchen, the amount of moving parts.
Yeah,
is
I bet.
insane.
Is insane.
And the lighting would have been
so
insane.
many Chinese people. They're all Chinese. I didn't notice that. It's like, wow, they're all Asian.
It's New York.
It's yeah.
It's New York.
Yeah, and it was I guess it was the Asians working the kitchens at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, the amount of moving parts, the amount of people he has to say hi to, the amount of people who like, you know, who send him the drinks and that at his table that he says hi to, like the fucking guy carrying the table.
Yeah,
like
it's a perfect dance.
it's
So funny.
such an incredibly well shot scene. That the guy who has to do just the end part.
The end part fucked it up. That's crazy.
So
all
much
he says is
pressure.
take my wife. That's all he says.
Yeah, he
I
says
know.
a couple things, but it's like either way, it's like, damn, that's wild.
Crazy. So cut to the next day, we see Tommy and Henry at the airport, right? And they walk up to the Mr. French guy and the security guy at the airport, right? And he slides him a key. They go through the back, and they just literally, they go through the back. They're in there for 2 seconds. They leave with a suitcase. And then you hear the voiceover. He's like, man, Air France, that's what made me. We walked out $420,000 without using a gun. And then you see them, they're back, and they're all celebrating, right? And we gave Paulie his tribute. And Paulie's like, huh? Look at this fucking kid. Oh, he's all happy for him. And he's like, this is going to be a good summer. And he would ask about this money. You won it in Vegas playing craps, huh? He's like, all right. And then you see him, he takes Karen out to some fancy club, right? And they're at like in the Bahamas, they're chilling. And then while they're chilling, though, some dude comes up.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Karen. And she's like, oh, hi, Bruce. And she's like, hey, this is Henry. And Henry's like, yo, what's up? And the guy's like, all right, see you around. And he kind of walks off. And you can tell Henry kind of don't like the vibe of the dude.
Yeah.
And Henry's like, you know him? And she's like, oh, yeah, he lives across the street from me. And like he grew up, across the street from me. That's where he lives. She's like, oh, okay. Cut to them on another date, right? The front row of the show. You hear her voiceover. There was nothing like this. And what was crazy was I didn't think anything was strange. A 21-year-old kid with all these connections. I mean, he was such an exciting guy. Everyone wanted to be nice to him, and he knew how to handle it. We see them in a car. They're just making out, right? Cut to the next day. You see a commercial. It's like, Maury's wigs. These wigs don't come off. And you see a fat guy jumping in a pool, and it's like a wig commercial, right? And then you see we're in the place of the wig store, like where the commercial's for.
Yes. So the wig commercial is the first thing that was shot in the movie.
What?
The first thing that was filmed for Goodfellas was the wig commercial. And it wasn't directed by Scorsese. Scorsese went and found a commercial director to direct.
So it looks like, that's why it looks like an actual commercial.
An actual commercial. Yeah. So
that's so authentic, bro, because it does look like a fucking commercial.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so the first thing shot for Goodfellas was not shot by Scorsese. It's crazy.
Genius.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What a ledge.
Yeah, it also goes to show you, like, bro, even like this is a great piece of art directed by a great artist.
Yeah.
To make it work, you gotta, I mean, just like obviously actors, writers, directors, but you gotta employ someone else to do your job sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to make something great, you gotta have the ego to be like, let me put my ego aside. Let me get this commercial director to make it look authentic. This one little 2-second scene.
2 seconds.
So
but
thoughtful.
it makes the movie everything.
It adds layers to the movie.
I mean, this movie made such an impact on me when because I saw this movie as a young kid, so that's why I remember seeing it. And it just made it. It fucked me up in that way of like, whoa! It was just so visceral.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? So, they're at this guy named Maury. That's his wig store, and Henry is telling him like, yo, you got to pay this debt. You owe Jimmy money. Like Jimmy's De Niro, like you owe him money, yada yada. Like you borrowed his money, you got to pay him. He's like, I'm not gonna pay him, yada yada. He's like, what, you gonna fight with Jimmy? He's like, no, fuck you, Jimmy. I mean, I pay him when I end up doing the yada yada. Jimmy walks up and just starts choking him.
Right.
Like, you gonna fucking pay me my money? Huh? You gonna fucking pay me my money? You got money for a goddamn commercial? You don't have my money? He's like, pay me my money before I fucking kill you. And he's like, all right, I'll get it for you. Right then they get a call. He's like, hello? He's like, Henry, it's for you. Henry goes, what? Karen, slow down. Wait, where? Stay there. Hangs up, and Jimmy's like, you all right? He's like, it's Karen, and he runs off. He finds Karen. She's crying in a phone booth. And he's like, Karen, my baby, what happened? He's like, are you all right? And he's like, no. He's like, well, who did what to you? And she's like, this guy who lives across the street. And she's like, what did he do? He's like, he started to touch me and grab me, and I said, stop, and I hit him back, and then he got really angry, and he threw me out the car. And you see our boy peel off as she's saying all this, right? Mm-hmm. So he takes her home, and you see him looking in the rearview mirror. You see the dude across the street with his friends. They're like working on his nice car, and he's just looking in the mirror.
He's parked?
He's parked at her place.
And Karen's
driving, but she's across the street. Yeah. So he's just looking in the rearview. But he's calm. He's like, so how you feel, honey? You okay? She's like, yeah. He's like, all right, why don't you go inside and get yourself together? She's like, okay. She gets out of the car. She goes inside. He reaches under the seat. He grabs a gun, puts that shit in his jacket. He walks over. Stone cold face, bro, just pissed. He walks right over. And the guy's like, man, what do you want, fucko? He just grabs him by the head, like by his hair. And the guy's like, what? And then he pulls out the gun and just beats this nigga's face to a pulp.
Yeah.
Bop, 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 bop. And all his friends are just like, yo, bro, yo. And then he gets up and he's like, you touch her again, you're fucking dead. You hear me? Dead. And then his friends are like, bro. And he's like, he points the gun at him. They're like, don't shoot, please. He's like, then he kind of calms down. And then he walks back over to this place. She's like just standing there like, Karen's like watching this, right? And then he hands her a bloody gun. The gun's covered in blood. He's like, hide this. And then she's like, what? He's like, hide this. You all right? And she's like, yeah. And then you hear her voiceover, and she goes, I knew right there, women that are like my friends, they would have gotten out of that moment the moment they'd have gotten out that relationship the moment their boyfriend handed them a gun to hide. But I didn't. I gotta admit, it turned me on. And then you see her, she hides the gun for him. All right? Cut to them. They're doing a small Jewish wedding. And it's just her family there and his family there. And they're like,
Cut to the wedding is so funny.
Cut to the wedding. After fucking a nigga up.
really solidifies that, like, oh, she liked this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you see him there, it's like a little small, I mean, literally like an itty bitty wedding in a little Jewish church. And everybody's like, yeah, and he's pretending to be Jewish and all that shit. And then cut to a real wedding. Now, their families aren't at this wedding, but this is just all the gangsters.
Okay.
But this wedding had, I mean, it's like, you know, some royal ball type wedding vibes. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, you're her voiceover. She's like, it's literally like he had two families. There was Paulie, and I had to meet all of Paulie's family and all his sons and nephews, and all of them were named Peter and Paulie. And literally, and you see him, like you see Paulie introducing her. She's like, this is my nephew Paulie. This is Petey. This is young Paulie. This is Paulie. This is Petey. And she said, and all of them were married to a girl named Marie. And then you said, and this is Paulie and his wife Marie, and Petey and his wife Marie. And then he goes, and all their daughters were named Marie. And this is their young daughter Marie and his young son Pete. You know, like it was crazy. We're talking about like hundreds of people.
It's genuinely a very
and like
funny.
He's dead serious too, like really on some like, oh man, like these are his nephews, right?
Yeah.
He's like, and this is Petey. He's like, I'm Paul. He's like, even I get him confused. And she goes, by the time I was finished meeting everyone, I thought I was drunk. And then you see everyone giving them insane stacks of cash, like, you know, bands. We're talking about like maybe 10 grand, 20 grand, 30, like a person. And it's a long line. And Karen can't believe it. And you're like, life is but a dream playing. And she's just like in a daze.
Yeah.
And they're dancing around. And then she goes, Henry, what about all that money they gave us? And he goes, what about it? She's like, shouldn't we get it? Should we leave it? Just leave it out. It's just over there. And he starts laughing. He goes, don't worry about that. No one's going to steal that here. She's like, okay. And then you see them, they're looking at each other and they're just in love.
That's a great movie, man.
Yeah.
If it ends right there,
that's happily ever after.
that's a great point. If it ends right there, holy fuck. Beautiful film. I mean, it's so happy.
Yeah. It's a mob movie. What could go wrong?
Cut to a future night.
Oh, whoa.
Get your balance. Get your balance. Her mom, you see her, like, Karen's mom going off. Where the fuck is your husband? He shouldn't be out this late yet. She's like, Mom, he's a grown man. He'll come home when he wants. She's like, people don't just come home this late. She's like, Mom, what do you want me to do? She's like, oh my God. And you know what? I found out he wasn't Jewish. He's not even Jewish. And your father, he wouldn't do shit like that. She's like, Mom, will you just stay out of it? She's like, you don't know where he is? She's like, Mom, he's with his friends. Cut to, like, even later in the night, right? They're all kind of asleep in the living room. You see Henry, like, the lights come in the group, like somebody pulls up, like, so the lights shine. And then they all wake up. She's like, oh, she's excited. Karen's pumped. She's like, Henry. She runs to the door. She's like, oh, Henry. And then you see the mom wake up. She's like, where were you? You don't leave your wife staying up all night. You're a married man. What kind of married man is this? And he literally goes, he just starts laughing. He's drunk. And he just turns around and walks back away and gets in the car and leaves. Right?
Yeah.
And she's like, Mom! So, you see the voiceover of Karen. And she's like, man, I didn't really realize how crazy things were until I went to this hostess party. So you see one of the gangsters' wives throws like a little hostess party for all the ladies. And she's like listening to them, and they're all just talking like crazy gangster shit, but like it's normal. Like oh yeah, like this person got arrested. Like, oh my God, and you hear this happened, and this person got murdered. And it's just like, and she's like, what the fuck? She's like, they all had bad skin and too much makeup, and they all look beat to shit. You can tell they all been beat up like by their husbands, and all the stuff they wore looked cheap. And she was like, you can tell she just hates it. She's like, this is like not the life I want. And they all talked about beating their kins. And when Henry picked me up, I was dizzy. And you see her talking to Henry. She's like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can live like that. I mean, God forbid you go to prison. And he starts laughing. He's like, let me tell you something. No one goes to jail unless they want to. I know what I'm doing. I have things organized. You know who goes to jail? Nigger stick-up men. That's what he said.
You can say it.
That's what he said. I know I can say it, but that's what Ray Liotta said.
So interesting fact about that part in the movie. That's actually not in the movie, and Deric just made that up because he wanted to say that. So I actually wrote that down in my notes. It's actually crazy.
You
I kind of nailed it. Yeah, I really know Deric here. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, you do know me, bro. That's my boy.
I know you well, dog.
And she goes, and they fall asleep at the getaway. They fall asleep in the getaway car. That's why they get caught, Karen. You don't have to worry, sweetie. He's like, come here. And then they start making love. After a while, her voiceover, it just seemed normal. It wasn't even crime to me. It was just like enterprising. I just thought my guy was out there hustling. I just looked at him like a blue-collar guy who just did what he had to do to make a couple bucks. Cut to them, they're robbing the shit out of like a semi-truck with like sawed-off shotguns.
Yeah.
And we hear her voiceover again. And we were all just so close. There were never outsiders allowed ever to be around us, ever. You see like a police knock on the door and they do a search warrant at her place and she's all calm about it. She's like, you boys want coffee? They're like, no, ma'am. She's like, they always wanted to come search Henry's place and talk to Henry and they made me sign papers and normally they just wanted money, a handout. But, you know, all the other wives I didn't understand. They would curse at him and spit on their own floor. Imagine spitting on your own floor. It didn't make sense to me. All I would do is just be like, let him in, let him search the place and call the lawyer. Everything always worked out.
And while they're searching the place, she's holding a baby.
Yeah, that is true.
Yes. So they have kids now.
So she's like, we did everything together. Anniversary, she's with all the gangsters, like at different anniversaries, at birthdays. You see them all kind of growing older together. Only, you know, we were only at each other's houses. We only went on family trips together. It was normal. It got to the point I was proud that he lived like that. You know, cut to them, they're like a lot richer. They're in a super nice place. He has stacks of cash on him. Like he goes to leave at one point and she's like, oh, I wanted to go shopping. He's like, oh, how much money do you need? She's like, this much. And then he gives her a stack of cash and then she gives him a blowjob. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's like, all right. He's like, life is great.
Yeah.
Get in the movie right there, Scorsese. I'm realizing now, you could have ended it. You could have just ended it at any of these points.
Blowjob, dog. Make everyone leaves feeling good. It fades out. Yeah, directed by Martin Scorsese.
You know what's funny? that is the moment, the movie. That's the last, like, because this is where everything goes wrong. Even though it doesn't go, like, everything's still fine, but this is like the decision that like spirals everything. June 11th, 1970, Queens, New York. We see a bar. There's balloons. There's people celebrating. You hear everybody go, hey, Bats. This guy comes in. He's like, Billy Bats. And everybody's like, oh, welcome home. And this guy, Billy Bats, just got home from bed. He just got home from prison. Right. And then you see Jimmy's there. Henry's there. They're all in Henry's bar. Henry owns his bar. Like, you know, everybody's doing well now. Tommy comes in with a girl. And he's introing the girl to the boys. And you see Billy Bats look over. He's like, oh, hey, Tommy, all dressed up and grown up. Holy shit. Because he's been in prison a long time. He's like, Tommy, oh, my God, come here. And Tommy's like, you know, like, let me go over here. And he's like, hey, Billy, how are you? He's like, I haven't seen you in years. And he hugs him, and Tommy's kind of trying to get away. He's like, wash the suit, man. And he's like, wash the suit, you little prick. I know you all my life. I mean, I can't even, you know, I can't fucking give you a hug. And he's like, I know. Just don't go busting my balls, all right, Billy? He's like, hey, if I wanted to break your balls, I'd tell you to go home and get your shine box. And everyone starts laughing, all right? And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, this kid was great. He made the shoes look like mirrors, right? He was terrific, the best. Give you the best shoe shine. Huh? Salute, Tommy. And it's kind of quiet in the bar now. And Tommy looks over, he's like, hey, no more shines, Billy. Maybe you didn't hear about it. You know, you've been up in the state for a while, but no one told you. I don't do shines no more. And the guy's like, oh, relax. I'm just breaking your balls. You know, I'm kidding. He's like, yeah, but it kind of didn't sound like you were kidding. He's like, look, I'm just fucking kidding. You know, I'm breaking your balls. Are you getting fucking fresh with me? You know, come on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean no disrespect. And Tommy's like, all right, I'm sorry too, no problem. It's quiet for a second. And then dude's like, now go home and get your fucking shine box. And then Tommy's like, you motherfucker! Boom, he breaks the glass. He's like, I'm gonna fucking smash his fucking head, you fucking mother. And the guy's like, oh, come on, Tommy. He's like, fuck you. Henry's holding him back, right? And Henry's like, no, fuck this guy. He's like, calm down, Tommy, calm down. He's like, no, fucking fight, fake tough guy, motherfucker. And he looks at Henry and goes, keep him here. Keep that motherfucker here. And he leaves, all right? You see him turn around. Henry's like, hey, I'm sorry about all that, yada, yada. And Billy Bat's like, yo, what the fuck is problem, huh? You didn't mean no disrespect. He's like, look, he didn't mean no disrespect, yada, yada. He's like, what do you mean he didn't mean no disrespect? He yelled at me, yada, yada. You know, like this kid, you know, I'm trying to be nice. You know, the kid hugs me, and the next thing you know, he's acting like a jerk. And then Jimmy goes, well, no. You kind of insulted him a little bit. You know, you got a little out of order yourself. I'm just saying. He's like, no, I didn't insult him. I didn't insult nobody. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, all right, well, look, I'm going to get some drinks. Drinks are on me. And then Henry's like, no, the drinks are on the house. He's like, no, I'm buying the drinks. I'm Billy Bats. And they're like, no, Billy, drinks on the house. He's like, all right. Time passes. Everyone leaves. Now it's just Billy Bats and that bitch drunk. He's talking to Jimmy, right? You see Henry sitting there. He's watching them talk. They're talking. Motherfucking Tommy walks in. You see Tommy walking. He's like, hot. Henry sees him and immediately runs up and he's like, nope. And he's like, you see Henry go right to the door, lock it. Jimmy is looking at the door. So Jimmy's, even though he sees Tommy walking up, but he's still playing it cool, like talking to Billy, yada, yada, right then. And then you see him walk up, and then right when he walk up, Tommy just fucking grabs him, slings him down, and then they beat the shit out this guy.
All three of them?
No. Henry just watches.
Henry's watching.
Yeah.
He's not really violent like that.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just De Niro and Pesci.
But they're like, Pesci is beating him with a gun in his face.
Ooh.
And De Niro's just fucking stomping his face. All right? And he goes, you see Pesci's like, I'm gonna shoot him in his big fucking mouth. And he kind of goes to shoot him and he kind of misses a little bit because he like tries to punch him as he shoots him, you know? Henry is like, yo, his whole crew's gonna be looking for him. This is bad, guys. This is bad. You know, we can't just dump him anywhere. And Tommy's like, I'm sorry. I didn't want to get blood on your floor, Henry. He's like, don't worry. I got a place we can put him upstate. I got a place. Don't worry. And so they're like, all right, we just got to go to, and then we got to go to Joe Pesci's mom's house, get a shovel. They're like, all right, cool. So they all get in the car.
So before we continue with the scene, the Billy Bats character and Joe Pesci have like an incredible history together. I forgot the guy who plays them, but they are involved in three pretty big beatdowns. This one where Pesci beats Bats. I believe another movie I want to say is Pesci in Raging Bull. Yeah. Pesci beats him, the same actor again in Raging Bull.
Whoa.
In Casino, that actor beats Pesci.
Beats Pesci. That I know.
Yeah. The guy who plays Billy Bats and Pesci started in show business as a comedy duo. And they did a movie together that got the attention of De Niro, who then told Scorsese about Pesci.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's cool.
So they have a weird. It's like Adam Sandler being in the movie with his friends, but he's in a movie with his friends, and they're just always kicking the shit out of each other for whatever reason. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
That Billy Bats and Pesci are like that.
Legendary scenes, though.
Yeah, legendary scenes.
All these legendary scenes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
They're really fighting. I
So they drive to Tommy's mom's place and they're like, keep quiet. He's like, I don't want to wake her. And then right when they walk in the place, his mom's already awake. She's like, and the mom is actually played, did you know that?
By Scorsese's mom.
Scorsese's mom.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
and you're looking at her, you're like, oh my God, that is Scorsese's mom.
Wow.
Like you immediately recognize it, right? And she's like, oh my God, look who's here, it's Tommy. And he's like, what are you doing awake, Mom? And she's like, what happened? He's all covered in blood. He's like, oh, we hit something on the road. Jimmy will tell you. And then he kind of walks by her. She's like, what is you okay? He's like, no, we hit something. You know, Henry will tell you. And then they kind of kiss and they're like, oh, she's like, well, let me make you guys something to eat. And they're like, no, we're just gonna get a shovel and we gotta go. And she's like, no, I'm just so happy to see him. You can't.
Just getting a shovel and out to go.
We gotta deal with the shovel thing. And then they're like, okay. She's like, no, but you gotta eat something. And like, no, Mama, go to sleep. And she's like, I can't. You're here. I can't. Cut to. She's literally made them all food. Yeah. And they're all just like, fuck it, we're gonna sit and eat.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's telling her, he's like, oh, well, Mama, we were out late and we hit a deer. That's where all the blood came from. You know, Jimmy told you. And he's like, yeah, we hit a deer. He's like, oh, Mom, also, I'm gonna need this knife. And he holds up the knife. She's like, why? He's like, because, you know, the deer's the paw. The paw, he's like, the hoof. Yeah, the hoof, it got stuck. And, you know, I gotta hack it out. She's like, oh, he's like, Mom, it's a sin. I can't leave it in there. And then she's like, oh, I guess so true. And then she goes, by the way, when you gonna get yourself a nice girl, Tommy? He's like, what do you mean, Ma? I get a nice girl every night, Ma. And he's like, no, I'll get a nice girl, settle down. And, you know, like Henry, he's like, I do settle down. And then the next morning I wake up and I resettle. He was like, I love you. And he kisses his mom, everybody's laughing.
Yeah. So up until that point, too, you also notice that Pesci, whenever there's a girl in a scene with Pesci, it's always a different girl.
Yeah, you can tell because Jimmy's a married man, Henry's a married man.
Yeah.
You can tell Pesci's the one who's like single. And then the mom looks at Henry, she's like, Henry, what's the matter? You don't talk much? You don't eat much? You don't talk much? He's like, oh, I'm just listening. And he's like, oh, you know, the mom, she's like, you know, there was a joke about a guy like you. And the mom's like, there was this guy, you know, he didn't talk much. He didn't say much. And they're out at dinner. And then somebody said that to him, like, you know, you don't talk much. And then the guy said, what do you want me to say? That my wife 2 times me? And then he said, right then the wife looked at him and said, oh, you're always talking? You know? And then like they laugh. And then she's like, oh, and she tells the joke in like Italian and they're kind of explaining it to him. And then the mom's like, oh, I made a painting. And then she holds up this painting, right? And they're like, holy shit, that kind of looks like a guy we know. And it looks like Bats.
Wow.
And then they start laughing because they're psychopaths.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he looks like a guy we know, yada, yada. And then as they're laughing, you see the camera pan back and the trunk is rattling.
Oh, shit.
Cut to the first scene in the movie.
That's awesome.
And you see them driving, right?
Oh, no.
You hear the voiceover of Henry. For most of the guys, killing was expected. Got out of line, you got whacked. Hits became a habit for guys. Arguments over nothing ended up with someone being dead. It was no big deal. You see them fucking stabbing bats and then they start burying them, right? He said, but you hear the voiceover and he goes, but this situation was really touchy. Tommy killed Bats, and Bats is a made guy. He's a part of the Gambino crew. He's an untouchable. To kill a made guy, you have to have a sit down and get the okay. And if you didn't, you'd be the one who got broke. You'd be the one who gets whacked. Yeah. And it freezes on Henry's face, and he's like, nervous. Like, fuck. Cut to, they're at a club. It's called the Copa. It's like a nightclub. And they go, you hear the voiceover. He goes, Saturday was for wives, but Friday, that was for girlfriends. So you see them, they got all the, they all got their side bitches.
It's the same club as the first shot, the long shot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you see like the side bitches are like talking about, like one girl even says like, oh my God, Sammy Davis Jr., I can see how a white girl would fall for him. And Joe Pesci's like, nigger, 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 nigger.
Now, see, that was actually in the script. Derek's not making that up. So
he's like, just say he's talented, bitch. Leave it at that. She's like, okay. Cut to Henry. Henry's taking his bitch to his this apartment, this apartment that he got her. The next morning comes
side bitch apartment.
The side bitch apartment. The next morning comes, he leaves and he goes with his family and they all go to Paulie's. And Paulie pulls him aside and he's like, yo, you hear about this thing? And Henry's like, what thing? He's like, the guy from downtown. He's like, what guy from downtown? He said, don't play with me. The guy who disappeared. His name was like Bats or something. He's like, I don't know nothing about him. He said, well, people are going crazy looking for him. It's like a thing. You know what happened to him? He's like, no, last thing everyone knows, he came to my joint that night, but that's the last thing. And, nobody knows where he's at after that. He looks at him. He's like, okay, well, you keep your eyes open. You hear anything, you let me know immediately. This is a big deal. He's like, oh, I will, I promise. Cut to, Jimmy finds Henry later that night. And he's like, yo, remember that thing from upstate? He's like, yeah, Paulie was asking me about that earlier. He's like, yo, we got to get it out of here. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, they just sold that property for condominiums. So they're going to build on it. We got to get that body out of here now.
Oh, my God. I'm on the edge of my seat.
And he's like, what are you talking about? It's been 6 months. He's like, I don't care. We got to get that thing fucking right now. We got to go get Tommy and go do it. Cut to them. You see it's night, them digging up the body. Henry's throwing up. Oh! Oh! And they're like, oh, come on, Henry, stop being a pussy. Here's an arm. Here's a leg. And Jimmy and Tommy are laughing because they're actual serial killers.
Yeah.
Henry's throwing up. You see him the next day cleaning the trunk of his car. Like, oh my God, like it's bad, right? You hear the voiceover. He's talking about a side bitch. I set Janice up with an apartment nearby so I could stay over a couple nights of the week. And Karen never asked any questions, which was great. We see the side piece showing off her place. It's super nice. She's like, this is where me and my man spend most of our time. She's in the bedroom. Like, you see Henry run in. He's like tickling her and slamming her. And she's like, stop. One of the friends is looking at Henry, though, and like he notices her. Like, they like lock eyes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, what's up?
I believe she's the manager in Entourage. She's something in Entourage.
Yes, she is his publicist. In Entourage.
Yeah.
She's his publicist in Entourage.
Yeah.
So later that night, the boys are playing cards, and Tommy's like, "Hey, yo, Spyder, who's the bartender, let me get a cutty water."
And Spyder is played by Michael Imperioli. He plays Moltisanti in Sopranos.
Oh yeah,
Tony's nephew, and he's in This Fool.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He is also in I believe Godfather 3.
I think so. That's the one Godfather
I believe he's one of the main characters in
Wasn't
Godfather
he
3.
in White Lotus?
He is
I
in
haven't
White
seen
Lotus.
White Lotus.
Yeah.
He's a big actor.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, he's great in White Lotus. You
he's
should watch
phenomenal.
White Lotus.
I should, bro.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
You
You
have
should
to
watch
stop,
it.
pause and watch White Lotus.
Yeah, let's all watch the
All
two
right,
seasons
we'll
together.
be right back.
Oh, God, I wish we could do a cut. And it's us like watching White Lotus. So he's like, yo, I need a cutty water. So the bartender walks over and he gives someone else a drink, but not Tommy. And Tommy's like, yo, am I a fucking mirage? Where's my fucking drink? I asked for a cutty water. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said I'm all right, Spyder. And he's like, what do you mean, you mumbling, fumbling, stumbling fucking idiot? I asked for my drink, you little fucking prick. You've been doing this to me all night. And you see Tommy's a little drunk. He's like, go get me a fucking drink. And he's like, all right. And he's like, move, you little prick, dance. You know what? Dance the drink back to me. And he pulls out a gun. He's like, come on, dance. And he starts shooting at the floor. And they're like, whoa. And then he shoots him in the foot. He's like, ah. He's like, you got him. They're like, Tommy, you got him in the foot. He's like, oh, okay. He got shot in the foot. Big deal. He gets shot in the foot. He's like, let him crawl for the drinks. That's what he used to do anyway. And then, you see they have to lift up Spyder. And he's like, oh, my foot. And then they're carrying him out. He's like, don't get upset at me, Spyder. Don't make this a fucking thing. It was an accident. Fuck him. And then they just go back to playing cards like nothing happened.
Right.
Whoa.
So in the first episode of The Sopranos, I don't know if you remember, there's a baker who takes a while to get Moltisanti's order. And so Moltisanti shoots him in the foot, and that's an homage to this scene. Wow. Where he gets shot in the foot. Yep.
Just gangster shit.
Mm-hmm.
So Henry goes to leave the house the next day, and Karen's screaming, "You're not going out." She throws the keys, and he's like, "Karen, stop acting like this." And she goes, "Something is going on. Look at your face, and I know you're lying." And he's like, "Shut up, Karen." All right. And she's like, "Ah." He's like, "I'm going out." He just kind of walks by, and she's like, "Get out of my life." And he stops. He goes, "It's all in your mind, Karen. You're crazy." And then he goes to leave. She's like, "All right, just go. Go to your whores. It's all you're good for. I can't stand you." She's just screaming as he leaves the house.
And as he leaves, he passes their daughter.
Their daughter's just like
she's
watching
just
it.
there watching?
Oh, yeah, this is just the life they see.
Wow.
Cut to the next night. They're all playing cards again. You see Spyder's foot. Now it's in a cast. All right? And it's all bandaged up, and you see him kind of wobbling over. He goes, "Look at that bandage." And Tommy's drunk again. He's making fun of him. "Look at that bandage. It's bigger than your fucking head, Spyder. I want you to do a couple little two-step, huh? All right, look at you. You looking for sympathy, sweetheart? Is that why you got that big old cast?" And it's kind of quiet, and then Spyder just kind of looks at him, and he's like, "Man, go fuck yourself, Tommy." All the boys go, "Oh!"
That makes it worse.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Jimmy's like, "Oh," and he's like, "Here, Spyder," and he gives him like $100. Like, "Good for you. Here's some fucking balls. Don't take shit off nobody." And Tommy's just kind of looking at him like this, right? And he's like, "Huh?" And then he looks at Tommy and says, "What's the matter with you? You gonna let him get away with that? You gonna let this kid fucking talk to you like that? What's the world come into?" Tommy pulls out a gun. Boom, 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 boom. Shoots this nigga like 5 times. Everybody's like, they're like, "Yo." And then Jimmy grabs the gun. He goes, "What the fuck's the matter with you? What the fuck is it? You stupid or what? The fuck is the matter with you? I'm kidding with you. You fucking sick maniac. You gonna kill a guy?" And then right then he goes, "How am I supposed to?" And he's like, Tommy's like, "How am I supposed to know you're kidding?" He's like, "I'm fucking kidding with you. You crazy. You shoot him." And then right then, that's when Henry's like, "Tommy, he's fucking dead." He's like, and then Tommy just goes, "I'm a good shot."
Oh my, he's like Tupac and Juice.
Literally. Yeah, he's literally like, where it's like, "Oh, this is terrifying."
I got
human
the
being.
juice now.
I got the juice now.
So during the scene, the guy who plays Spyder cut his hand really badly. So they had to rush him to the ER, but they didn't have time to take off the makeup. So when he gets to the ER, they try to treat him for bullet holes and bullet wounds.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he has to tell the ER doctors, like, "Hey, this is not real. This is just makeup." But they think that he's delirious because he's been shot 5 times.
Oh
So
my
it takes them a while to realize that, like, it is just makeup. And they made him wait 3 hours after that in the emergency room
That's
because they were
crazy.
so bad.
No one from
God.
production, they just dropped him off like the real mafia.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then Scorsese says that, you know what? One day you're going to be so famous, you're going to tell that on The Tonight Show. And that's where he told the story, is on
That's
The Tonight Show.
badass. That's so cool.
Movie magic, bro.
Yeah. And that's fucking hilarious.
So he goes, "I'm a good shot. What do you want from me?" He's like, "He's a rat anyway. His whole family's fucking rats. He's probably gonna end up being a rat." He goes, "You stupid bastard. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna dig the fucking hole." And Tommy says a fucking iconic line. "Who cares? I don't give a fuck. First hole I dug? Huh? I'll dig the fucking hole." First hole I dug is,
First hole I dug.
it's not the first hole I dug?
Yeah.
Like, damn, bro. How many people have you murdered?
Jesus.
So the next day you see Karen, she shows up to the Sidepiece house. That you remember he got a Sidepiece of place. And she's ringing the doorbell, "Hello? Hello?" And the lady answers, she's like, "Yep." And then she sees it's Karen. She's like, and she goes and hides. She's like, "You keep away from my husband. Dun, 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 dun. Answer me. You keep away from my husband because I'm telling everyone you're a whore." And she starts hitting all the neighbors like buttons, goes, "The room, Janice, and 204 is a whore." And then it cuts to her. She's like, "Hello? Is this the superintendent of the building? I want you to know that Janice and 204 is a fucking whore, okay?"
I love that.
Bro, I get it. Yeah, she's like, "He's my husband. Get your own goddamn husband." And then the next morning, you see Henry waking up. And as he wakes up, there's a gun in his face. And it's Karen.
Whoa.
And she's straddling him. She's crying. She's got a gun right in his fucking face, right? And she's like, "Wake up. Wake up." And he's like, "Karen, what are you doing?" And she doesn't say anything. He's like, "Karen, are you crazy?" She goes, "Am I crazy? I'm crazy enough to kill the both of you." "Karen, take it easy. Do you love her? Karen, do you?" "Karen, I love you. You know I love you, Karen. Don't say that." hear her voiceover. She got it right in his face. I couldn't hurt him. I couldn't even bring myself to leave him. The truth was, no matter how bad I felt, I was still so attracted to him. Why give him up? Why should she win? Why does she get him? Karen, put it down. You know I love you. Put it down. She slowly goes to put the gun down. And he grabs her. Bah! Hits the fucking shit out of her. Takes the gun. Slings it to the ground. He's like, you fucking crazy? I get enough to worry about getting whacked on the streets. I gotta come home. I gotta come home to this. And he's got the gun in her face. He's like, I'll fucking kill you. How does it feel, Karen? How does it fucking feel, Karen? And then he fucking hits the wall, and then he storms out the house. And then she's like, I'm sorry!
Yeah, just like on the ground. It's
In
really
the bed.
intense.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
like
it sounds
she's
like it.
screaming on the ground.
and she's like she's like writhing. She's like, yeah, it's like it's crazy. It's really intense.
I
So
got
right-
chills.
Bro,
Oh yeah, it's a wild fight scene.
our boy is now at his Sidepiece place. Paulie and Jimmy come over, and they go visit Henry. And they're like, come on, Henry, come sit down. And they're like, yo, Karen came by the house today. And he's like,
Oh shit.
and he's like, look, she's upset. Paulie's like, look, she's upset. She's getting hysterical. Jimmy's like, yo, she's kind of talking a little crazy, talking a little reckless. You know, you got children. You got to take it easy. You got to go back. Just to keep up appearances, you got to go back. Like, this is bad for this is bad for business.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he's like, Jimmy's like, yo, she's been at my place every day. I can't have that, Henry. Like, it's interfering with my life. Like, I just can't have this. And he's like, no one says you can't do what you want to do. Like, they look around, it's like, we know what it is. Like, we all understand what it is. But you got to do the right thing. You got to go home to your family. Look at me. Smarten up. Go home to your family. And then Paulie's like, look, I'm going to talk to her. I'll straighten it all out. In the meantime, Jimmy and Tommy, we're going to go down to Tampa for some business for me. You know what? Jimmy, you go with him. You guys go. All right, you can enjoy some sun. But when you come back to your wife. Understand? No divorces. We can't do that. And then Jimmy's like, she won't divorce him. She'd kill him. She wouldn't fucking divorce him.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to, they're in Tampa 2 days later. All right? We see them beating, Jimmy and Henry, they're beating the shit out of a guy. And they're asking for money. And the guy's like, I don't have it. And they're like, all right, I know what to do. They take him to the zoo. And they're like, we're going to throw this motherfucker in the lion cage. He's like, I'm not going to no lions. He's like, no, we're going to throw him in. He's like, wait, no, I'll get the money. And then right there, hear the voiceover. I guess they really feed people to the lions down there because he immediately gave us the money. But what happened next, I truly couldn't believe. He said, apparently the guy we roughed up, his sister works for the FBI. And of all people, he told her what was going on, and she gave up everyone, even her own fucking brother. So you see, all of them will get arrested. Took the jury 6 hours. Judge gave us all 10 years like it was candy. You see Karen watching him get sentenced for 10 years in prison, just crying.
That happened so fast.
Bro, crazy,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, like I almost missed it. I was like,
Yeah. You zoned out for a second. You're like, what? They're in jail?
Yeah,
well,
it goes quick. It goes quick. He goes
but
to
it's
jail.
not even like a dramatic scene. It's,
No, it's not.
It's like very clerical and like.
Yeah, in the movie, it's just like, oh, he's in prison, just like that.
They do that a lot in the movie where you're like, oh, this could have been a focal point in a movie, like this scene, and they just sort of skip over it.
Because there's so much going on.
There's so much going on.
There's so much more to happen.
There's
Like,
so much going on. Yeah.
even him going to prison is just
Wow.
a blip in everything that's about to
But
happen.
10 years.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what makes it crazy.
The fast pace of everything is to give you the effect of like what it is to live this kind of life.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is because they want
It's
you
just
feeling like that.
super
Like
quick.
you are just on Uncut Gems vibes.
Yeah.
Where you're just
Yes.
on this ride.
And Scorsese was the reason why the tracking shot took so long. You know, it's a scene in the club. It's longer than him going to jail. And
Yeah.
it's because he wanted to show you like what it was like to be seduced by the life. So you as the audience and Henry are being seduced by this life. Karen is being seduced by Henry. It's like that long shot. The tracking shot is a shot of seduction.
It's beautiful
Wow.
because now as it keeps getting faster, it's like the ride's getting more intense.
It's getting more like
Yeah.
it's more
and you're,
like
and you're
bumpy
really
up and down.
and you're truly gonna see what this life is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, all the boys, you know, they're all in a bar. They all do a shot. Karen's just watching with tears in her eyes. He says bye to all the boys. He gets to the Karen. He kisses her. He says, "Hey, I'll call you when I get a chance." This is a fire line. He gets in the car, takes a bunch of pills, right? He's like, "Ugh." Now take me to jail. And like the music kicks in, and then he's in prison having dinner. And
I'm gonna do that in an Uber one day. Now take me to jail.
yo, pop like 3 volumes. He's like, yo, take me to fucking jail now. Yo, he said in prison, you hear the voiceover. Dinner was a big thing. We had pasta courses, meat or fish, and our boy Paulie had a system for the garlic. He used a razor. He'd slice it so thin it would just liquefy in the oil. And you see them like making this really nice dinner
in the
prison.
Yes.
But like their prison is not as
they're connected.
Yeah, so Vinny's like Vinny did the tomato sauce, yada yada.
So the Vinny the tomato sauce, the guy he talks about Vinny making the tomato sauce. Vinny is Scorsese's dad.
Wow.
Crazy.
His mom and dad are both in this film.
That's so awesome.
That's so cool. That is so cool. So he's like it doesn't even look like a prison cell. It looks like they're just in their own like hotel kind of lounge area. And you see a guard right there go, hey, you got your lobsters, boys. And the guard brings in lobsters for him. And you hear, he goes, honestly, the 10 years wasn't that bad. I mean, I miss Jimmy because he was doing his time in Atlanta, but we own the joint. You see Paulie's there for a little bit. You know, another Henry comes in. He's like, hey, I got bread. He has salami, scotch, red wine. You know, he's got a tracksuit on. He does like they're not even in prison clothes. Yeah. They're like dressed like how they normally dress.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're back. We had a little technical difficulty if you're wondering what the fuck kind of just happened.
Yeah. Derek came out as gay and it was a thing.
We had to pause the whole episode.
It was technically difficult for us. And that's what we mean by technical difficulty.
We really had to grieve through it. He hasn't told Sam yet. It's
really that's why I'm really taking my time on this pod. I'm trying to like, oh God. So we're in prison. The boys are living it up.
You wish you could be in prison.
We're back. We're locked back in. So you see Henry pulling out like drugs, and he's like selling them to inmates, and he's throwing cash to the guards, yada yada. Like, okay, he's like slanging drugs in the prison. Karen shows up for visitation, and they let her cut the line. She brings the kids with her. She goes to like sign in on the sign-in sheet, and she notices the side piece was already there.
I was thinking she's probably there, but that's crazy. She actually was.
Yeah.
So she walks in and she's like, I saw her name on the register. And then he's like, what? And he's like, you let her visit? He's like, what? He's like, you let her stay up all night crying for you. He goes, I'm in jail. I can't fucking like deal with who visits me. Whoever comes to visit me visits me. She's like, good, well, you let her sneak this shit in. And she starts like pulling out all this shit she snuck in.
Like drugs
salami and like all kinds of shit, right? She's like, huh? She pulls out drugs. She's like, huh? You let her sneak this shit in. He's like, the guards are looking and they're acting like they don't see it because they're all paid off.
Right.
Awesome.
He goes, nobody's helping me, Henry. I'm all alone. All your friends are broke. Everyone's broke. He's like, Karen, it's going to be okay. She's like, Paulie got out and I don't even see him anymore. She's like, I told you, once you get pinched, you're on your own. That's how this life works. You know, we'll be good. Once we get out of here, we'll be fine. He's like, I just need you to keep bringing me this stuff. We get a month, another month of it, we'll be fine. And then he goes, don't worry about Paulie. We just have to help each other, okay? And we have to be careful. And then she goes, I don't want to hear a word about her ever again. He goes, never. 4 years later, our boy gets out of prison finally.
Oh, wow. On parole, or was that 6 years into the sentence?
Probably some sort of parole.
Some sort of parole.
Okay.
He probably only did like 4 to 6,
Okay,
if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So Karen is there to pick him up. He goes home. All the kids are like, Daddy. And they're like, Daddy, you here to stay? And he's looking around, and the place, they're in like a studio.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're getting the fuck out of here. He's like, what? He's like, we're moving. She's like, what do you mean? He's like, I got to go to Pittsburgh in the morning, but go start looking for houses. And she's like, Pittsburgh? He's like, everything's going to be fine. And he's like, who wants to go to Uncle Paulie's? And all the kids are like, me. So they go to Paulie's. Everyone's having a good time. The family's back together. Everything's back, right? Paulie pulls him to the side. And he goes, hey, I don't want any of that shit. He goes, what are you talking about? He goes, you stay away from that garbage. Kind of slaps him. He's like, what? He's like, I'm not talking about inside. When you were in prison, you did what you had to do. I'm talking now. Don't get involved in that shit. Don't get involved in that drug shit. Don't do it. And you watch out for Jimmy. He takes chances. And Tommy's a cowboy. He's got something to prove. Right? He said, I'm not doing 7 years. I'm not gonna be 7 years old in prison dying, okay? You know Gribbs? He got 20 years for saying hello to someone who's dealing with that shit. Selling junk behind his back. That ain't happening to me. You tell me you see anyone fucking around with that shit. He goes, yeah, of course, Paulie. I promise. I won't do any of it. Cut to him immediately cutting up a bunch of cocaine. Like immediately, right? And you hear the voiceover. It took me a week to get it all done, but what a score. I started making 12 grand every 2 weeks. And all I had to do was tell Sandy, you know, that the girl, the entourage chick, the other chick that he was, he has another side piece now who does all his drugs for him. And so all I had to do was tell her I loved her, and she would cut up all my drugs for me, and yada, yada. And a few weeks go by, it got so big and I was making so much money, I needed help. So I got Jimmy and Tommy involved. Literally everything Paulie said don't do.
Yeah.
Right.
So we see Karen, right? She's got a new house. It's amazing. The walls open up. They're balling.
Yeah.
They balling out right now. It's wild. You see Maury, the dude with the wig guy. He's asking Henry if he's talked to Jimmy. He's like, yo, there's a score. I play millions of dollars. And he's like, all right. He's like, Jimmy owes me 20 grand anyway. We hit this score, I can retire. I'm telling you, it's that big. And then you hear the voiceover. And these are the guys that Jimmy put together for the biggest heist in U.S. history. This really happened. This is all a true story, right?
This is all a true story.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, this is all true.
Yeah, by the way, this is all, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a kind of crazy time to
You can
drop
like go
that
look
right
up
now.
all these people and like all this. It's crazy. These are the real names.
These are, well, some of the
They
names
changed
are
some of
changed,
the names. They changed some of the
but
names.
these are real people.
Holy shit.
Mhm. Like they're part of the, I believe the guy they killed was part of the Gambino crime family. This is
That's
this is the Lucchese crime family.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is one of the major crime families in New
I
York.
mean, I'm not surprised a lot of it is true, but for the whole thing to be true and for them to just like display it that's what's even more gangster. to me
Well,
than-
we'll get into it.
We'll get to how we get
Okay,
there.
okay.
We'll get to how we get to that.
Yeah.
But the biggest heist in U.S. history, the Lufthansa heist. All right?
Mm-hmm.
You had Tommy and Carbone. They're gonna grab the guard outside, and you see like all the characters are a part of the heist. You got Johnny Roast Beef, who's gonna keep the workers tied up and keep everyone away from the alarm. And even Stax got involved, and you see a black dude, a young Samuel L. Jackson.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he's like, Samuel Jackson, Stax, he'll drive the truck and then, everything will be fine. And you got Maury who came up with the plan. You see Maury like driving everybody nuts, yada, yada. But because he thought it was his idea, Maury just kept thinking he could bust Jimmy's balls. So you see him just complaining to Jimmy. He goes, man, I had everyone working and then Henry, you hear the voiceover. I had everyone working on me on this drug stuff. Even my babysitter got involved. And you see he's got like a babysitter who he would have smuggle the cocaine in from city to city. So she's like flying with a baby, but it's not her baby. Just like she would just get a random baby. She would just use a random baby, and then she would use it so she could like have a baby bag and it wouldn't get checked for drugs.
Crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
You see, they're all snorting cocaine. They're all, he's selling all this drugs. He's fucking the Sandy chick. He's living the life. Cut to the morning. He's getting in the shower, and on the radio he hears, "Holy shit! The heist of the century just happened. Millions. We're talking about millions of dollars stolen from this." And he's like, "Ah, Jimmy! You son of a bitch!" Right? He sees Jimmy that night, and Jimmy's like, "Huh? Ah?" And he's like, "Ah!" And then they hug, and he's like, "Look at this genius. Oh, this guy's a genius." Right then, another guy comes in. He's like, "Hey, roast beef," and he hugs him. He's like, "Who is this?" He's like, "This is my wife." He's like, "Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you." He's like, "Jimmy, let me show you something." And he looks outside. He's like, "Look at that." And it's a brand new pink Cadillac.
Wow.
And he's like, "Jimmy, I love that car." And Jimmy's like, "What did I tell you? What did I tell you before? What did I say?" He's like, "What?" I said, "Don't buy anything." I said, "Don't buy anything for a while." He's like, No, Jimmy, it's a wedding gift. I just got married." "Johnny, are you fucking nuts?" He's like, "Why are you getting excited?" "Because we got fucking so many bulls on us." I said, "Don't buy anything.
Yeah.
Don't buy anything. Nothing. You stupid." He's like, "I apologize." "The fuck is the matter with you?" I'm sorry." He keeps looking at him. "The fuck is the matter with you?" I like how he doesn't let it. Like, it is like, damn, or he really emphasized, like, yo, be scared.
Right.
He's like, I'm sorry. What the fuck did I tell you? Don't buy anything, you fat fuck. And then right then, another guy comes in, right? Frankie Carbone, and his wife has a fur coat on. And he's like,
Oh my god.
like the timing, right? Or he's just like,
yeah.
He's like, "You stupid or what?" And he goes, "Take it off." And she's like, "What? Take it off." And she's like, she takes it off. I said, "I didn't get nothing." I said, "Don't get nothing big." 2 days, one guy gets a caddy, another guy gets a fucking mink. Huh? Bring it back. Take it all back. Take it back. And they're like, "All right." And Jimmy's so pissed. And right then, Maury comes up. He's like, "Hey, yo, Jimmy, I need the money that you promised me." And he just walks away. He's like, "Jimmy, I need that money." "What the fuck? He owes me money." And then he's like, "Everyone in here flashing stuff. This guy's got a Cadillac. This guy's got a mink. I want my money. He owes me 500 G's. And that's coming my way." And then Henry's like, "Look, I'll talk to him." And so right then, Henry goes to Jimmy. And he goes to talk to him about Maury. And Jimmy goes, "Hey, I got something for you." And he gives Henry his cut. And they hug. And he's like, "That's just a little taste, huh? We did it. We did it." And they hug. They're all happy. And then he goes, "Don't do what Frankie and Johnny did. Don't be a fucking moron. All right, don't spend it. Be smart." He's like, "I got it. I won't, Jimmy." Cut to, he's walking in the house. He's like, "Karen, I got the most expensive tree they had." And it's like a huge silver tree.
Yeah.
And then they got all this like crazy jewelry.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh, they all did immediately the things they were not supposed to do.
Right.
They all got grills.
Oh, bro, pretty much.
Just a bunch of
Italian version.
right. Yeah. Real deal cokehead decisions right now.
Oh, hardcore.
Yeah.
They hear the voiceover. The Lufthansa heist should have been the ultimate score. $6 million in cash. More than enough to go around. We see Sam Jackson is asleep in bed. Samuel Jackson. And they're like, do. Yo, Stacks. Do. It's Tommy. Wake up, Stacks. And Frankie Carbone. Do. Stacks, come on. He finally wakes up. He's like, what? They're like, what are you doing, bro? We got to go. He's like, oh, hey, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not ready. And then Tommy's like, I thought you had one of your bitches in here. He's like, I did. I don't know where she is. And you see him, like, putting his clothes on. And then Tommy walks behind him. He's like, man, Stacks, you're always late. You're going to be late for your own funeral. And he's like, what? Boom! Shoots Samuel Jackson in the back of the head. Right then, Tommy and Frankie leave.
How famous was he when this movie came out?
This might be his first movie. This is like
Because it's crazy to think about.
What's 90?
What's his first movie?
1990 can't be. No, his first movie is Coming to America, and that's like 80 something. So this is one of his first roles.
Because it's like he's so famous now. Like him entering the movie that late and then leaving that
quick,
crazy,
right?
Crazy.
But also still Samuel Jackson that he's in this movie.
Yeah.
He's in every movie.
Yeah,
you know?
All the best ones,
it's very Samuel L. Jackson. It's almost the same sort of thing in Jurassic Park. He enters the movie late and immediately dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. This is basically just Jurassic Park.
But also for him to do it, great. For him to do it in every, like, one of the most iconic movies, that's what makes it like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
What are the odds of
he
that?
just always pops up in iconic stuff. It's pretty interesting.
It means he knows it's a good script.
Yep.
You hear the voiceover. Stacks was crazy. Instead of getting rid of the truck like we asked, he got stoned and went to his girl's house. So the cops found the truck. They got the prints off the wheel. Just a matter of time till they got Stacks. So that's why they had to kill him. So you see Henry goes to see the boys, right? And he wants to talk about Stacks. They're like, no, come on, have a drink, Henry. He's like, they were like, we're celebrating. He's like, no, what about Stacks? What about Stacks? And everything's in the papers with the heist, yada, yada. And they're like, don't worry, everything's beautiful, everything's great. And then Tommy's like, you tell him? He's like, no, I haven't told him. He's like, you tell him? He's like, no, I haven't told him. And he's like, what? And then Jimmy's like, they're going to make him. And he's like, oh, shit, Tommy. You know, this little guinea bastard, he's going to be a boss. We're going to work for him. And you see, like, De Niro's so happy. He's over the moon that his boy is about to be a made man. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be a Paulie, like a big dog.
Yeah.
Right? Right then, Maury comes in, and then they all leave. And Maury's like, I want my money. Fuck him. I want my money. And then Henry's like, well, go tell him that then. You go, if you want to go do this so bad. And he's like, he calms down. He's like, you going to keep your mouth shut? He's like, you're going to get your money. You just got to stop busting his balls. Look at me. It's all going to be fine. And Maury's like, Henry? Oh, Henry boy, the pipes are calling. And he's laughing, and Henry's like, oh, God. So right then you see Jimmy, he looks over at Maury, and this is one of the best shots of all time. You just hear, like, you see Jimmy smoking a cigarette, and he's looking at the Maury dude, and you hear, down. And you see him, like, he's just staring at Maury, bro, like, just De Niro, just cold blood ice grilling this motherfucker. And you see him thinking. Cut to the next day, Jimmy and Henry are walking. He's like, I could tell Jimmy was a nervous wreck. His mind was going a million different directions. And then you hear Jimmy go to Henry, yo, you think Maury tells his wife anything? And then the camera freezes. And he goes, that's when I knew. That's when I knew he was about to whack Maury.
Wow.
That's how fast it can happen. And then they start walking again. He's like, no, he just talks nonstop. He's not telling his wife anything. And then G goes, all right, bring him here tonight. And he's like, okay, I will. Later, they're all playing cards. I'm trying to hear the voiceover. I'm trying to stall for time. I was hoping I could talk to him and maybe talk him out of killing Maury. You see, they're all laughing. Tommy's telling stories. They're all screaming, having a good time. Jimmy leans over to Henry and he goes, you know what? Not tonight. It's off. Voiceover. It was like a load off my mind. Poor bastard never even knew how close he came to getting killed. If I told him, he probably wouldn't even believe me. Later that night, you see Maury asking Jimmy, like, Jimmy, can I finally talk to you about this money? And Jimmy's like, yes, God damn it, finally, yeah, I'll talk to you about money. Let's go grab a coffee. So they all get in the car. Maury gets in the front seat. Tommy gets in the back seat. And they're like, should we get some Danish? He's like, yeah, let's get a Danish. As he's saying that, Tommy grabs Maury by the head and shoves a screwdriver in the fucking back of his head. And then he pulls it out real slow, and Maury's just... And he's like, I thought that motherfucker would never shut up, right? You see Jimmy get out the car and go, all right, chop him up, get rid of the car. Jimmy leaves.
He's screwed.
Maury's wife goes, like 2 a.m, goes and wakes up Henry and his wife. He didn't come home, Maury didn't come home. And he's like, what? She's like, I know something happened. I know you know something happened. 27 years, he's never not come home. And he's like, I'll go look for him. Just calm down, right? Henry goes and he sees Jimmy and he's like, yo, what do you want me to tell his wife? She's already going crazy. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Tell him he ran off with a broad. Who gives a fuck? Cut to, you see some kids out playing. Just playing. Camera kind of pans over. You see that pink Cadillac. The kids kind of notice it. see the kids walk up to it. Inside, that guy who bought the Cadillac and his wife.
Whoa.
Dead as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Down, 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 down. This is playing, right?
This is my favorite scenes in the movie.
So as that song's playing, you hear the voiceover. Jimmy was cutting every link between him and the robbery. So remember all those guys that was part of the robbery? One by one, you see them all dead.
Yeah.
Thank God it had, and then you hear Henry, thank God it had nothing to do with me. Because you see the bodies, like you see the guy who helped him, and one of the things, he gets found in the garbage. You see one dude, you hear the voiceover. Man, Jimmy, he said it killed him to give these guys money. Instead of giving them all their money, he just figured I'd rather whack them.
It's crazy because you know he's been killing all these people the whole time, but this is when you really start to see it.
Yeah, you're like,
Right.
oh, this guy is a fucking murderer.
Right.
Yeah.
And after the robbery, they just kept finding bodies everywhere. You see the Frankie Carbone guy, he's bro, they killed this nigga. This death always stuck with me because I'm like, that's a horrible way to go. This nigga was just put in a meat freezer.
And this is all true?
Yeah.
And yeah, they said he was frozen so solid it took him 2 weeks to
Thaw.
or 2 days to thaw.
2 days to thaw him. That guy had a bad way to go.
Right.
But, you hear the voiceover, but I've never seen Jimmy so happy. We had money coming in from Pittsburgh. All the heist stuff had calmed down, but that's not why he was happy. Today he was happy because Tommy, our friend, was being a made man. You know? He had a signal all set up so he could know the moment it happened. You see Henry and Jimmy at a diner. They're all excited.
Mm.
And, you know, he's so proud of him. He was so proud of Tommy, you thought he was becoming a made man. You know? You see Tommy talking to his mom, like, oh my God, she's like, I'm so proud of you, honey. You know, like, which is crazy to say, I'm so proud of my son for being a made gangster. But that is a tough thing.
No, and it's like, and those mob women like that are in that world. So
yeah, that mom knows what it is.
That mom knows what it
And
is.
she probably feels like he's done now.
Well, you know, because it is a level of like safety though. Because when you hit that level, you're at such a different level of how far you are away from it.
Well, like they said earlier when they killed Bats, to kill a made man, the 5 families have to convene. You have to get permission from that made man's boss.
Yeah.
Like, it's a real deal thing to kill a made man. If a made man gets killed, that means he truly fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, truly.
Or someone else truly fucked up.
Someone else truly fucked up.
Yeah.
And that's how you start a war.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so his mom's like, you know, I love you, yada, yada. So you hear the voiceover again. Mm-hmm. You know, we always called each other Goodfellas. He's a good fella. He's one of us. A wise guy. You know, but Jimmy and I, we could never be made men. We had Irish blood. To be a member of a crew, a true member, you got to be 100% Italian. They got to be able to trace your blood back to the ancestors. See, it's the highest honor they can give you. Once you're a made man, no one can fuck with you. And you can fuck with anyone. We see these old 2 made men, like these old dudes. They come and they pick up Tommy from the house, right? You hear the voiceover. As far as Jimmy was concerned, Tommy being a made man means we're all being a made man. You know, you see Jimmy go out to a phone booth to make a call to find out what happened. You see Tommy, the old guys, they pull up to the house, and it's like an old dude with a cane, like another old dude, like these old, they all got their suits on, and Tommy's like, man, when did you become a made man? He's like, I became a made man like year 19, whatever. And he's like,
30 years ago, yeah.
30 years ago. And he's like, oh, that's crazy. You know, they're just kind of bonding over it.
Yeah.
And they open the door for him, and Tommy walks in the house, and when he walks in, it's completely empty. And he goes, oh, no. Boom! As he's saying no, he gets shot in the back of the head.
He knew what was coming.
He already knew. That's the life that nigga lived. Bro, that's such a powerful to be like, oh, you can't even, like, your last thought is, fuck.
Yeah.
Bam, shot in the back of the head. You see Jimmy, he's like calling the dude who shot him, the old man, the guy. He's like, Vinny, what happened? And then the Vinny guy's like, you know, we had a problem. He's like, what do you mean? Wait, what?
Oh.
And he goes, he's gone. And we couldn't do nothing about it. And Jimmy's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, he's gone. Fuck! Can't fucking believe it. And he starts crying. You see this gangster dude start real deal crying, bro. Fuck! Henry comes out, he's like, what happened? They whacked him. He's like, fuck. And Jimmy's just sitting there crying, and they're just sitting in the parking lot. It's quiet. And you hear the voiceover. It was revenge for Billy Bats. And a lot of other things. And there was nothing we could do. Bats was a made man. Tommy wasn't. We had to take it. They even shot Tommy in the face, so his mother couldn't give him an open coffin. See, they should have ended the movie earlier.
Yeah. Remember when people were getting married and everyone was getting money?
Dude, he was fucking bitches. Like, everything was great.
But he can't end there.
Yeah, we can't. We got more shit to do.
It has to be more because I feel like they feel like they're about to be made men now. They're probably next in line.
Ooh. We'll see what happens with the boys.
The way Jimmy's been out there.
Sunday, May 11th, 1980, 6:55 a.m.
1980. Oh, wait, never mind.
So we hit we've gone through this. Now they're getting older.
Yeah.
We see our boy starting the day doing a line of coke. He puts a bunch of guns in a bag and takes off. He has a satchel of drugs around his waist, right? When he gets in the car, he notices a helicopter, right? This is like iconic scene too. He gets in the car, he knows a helicopter. And he was like, this is very Uncut Gems, how fast this scene moves, but it is chaotic.
Chaos.
So he's like, I knew it was going to be a busy day. I got to get guns for Jimmy, pick up my brother from the hospital, drive him back for dinner, make dinner for everybody, go meet with the Pittsburgh guys. No, pick up the stuff from Pittsburgh, meet with those guys, and then cut the shit, then send all those drugs to Atlanta. So it's a whole day. As he's saying all this, he keeps seeing this fucking helicopter, right? He goes, right away, he gets to Jimmy's place. Right away, I could tell Jimmy didn't want them. You know, Jimmy's like, oh, these guns suck, yada, yada. I'm not paying for this shit. I didn't say a thing. I let it happen. 8:05 a.m. I knew the Pittsburgh guys were going to want the guns, so I was sure I'd get my money back that way. He looks up. He notices a chopper again. And he's like, and as he notices, he looks down, almost gets in a car crash. 8:45 a.m. It's crazy. I finally picked up Michael. You see his brother that's in the wheelchair. And the doctor, he said, right when the doctor saw him,
Sorry to cut you off. Is that the second time you see him since the beginning?
Yes. This is the second. So you see the brother in the wheelchair in the beginning, and he's a little kid, and now he's a grown man.
I was wondering, like, where he
came back to play.
He came back into play,
Yeah, it is very, like, such good, like, everything's accounted.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
So the doctor sees me, and he wanted to put me in bed. But luckily, he was nice to me. He gave me a checkup, gave me 10 milligrams of Valium, and sent me him out my way. You see him taking his brother home. So I had to drive Michael home, and he's telling his brother, like, look, that helicopter's been following me all day. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I've seen that motherfucker all day. 11:30 a.m. I was cooking dinner. I'm the one cooking dinner for that night. I wanted to make a huge ziti because that was Michael's favorite, all right? So you see him in the kitchen, and it's a whole spread. And he's doing everything, all right? He goes, I was home for an hour, so I had enough time to do this, get the ziti ready, get that, do that. And then I had to get the package ready for Lois's trip to Atlanta later that night. So I had to leave. So I had to ask my brother, watch the sauce. So you see the brother come over, start stirring the sauce. You see Karen and Henry leave. She sees the copter. She's like, oh my God, there it is. He's like, this is crazy. He's like, all right, we got to go to your mom's. They go to his mom's. They hide the guns in the garage. They wait for a while. You see them waiting for the chopper to leave. Chopper leaves. They're like, all right, let's go shopping. 12:30 p.m. They shop for an hour. 1:30 p.m. They go to get the guns from the mom. Now it's 3:30 p.m. Like, bro, this shit's moving like that too. It's like, what the fuck?
Are they like flashing the time?
The time as they're going, the time just keeps coming up.
Right.
So they finally 3:30 p.m. They go meet up with the Pittsburgh guys, and the Pittsburgh guy's like, there's no. He's looking around. He's like, there's no choppers out here. What are you talking about? He's like, I'm telling you, you're being paranoid. And then Karen's like, I need a hit. She's like, oh, you want to see choppers? I'll give you choppers. She's like, no more choppers, just a line of coke. You see Karen do a line. You hear the voiceover. So my plans were I got to get to Sandy's place, cut up this shit, go back home, finish cooking, and then get Lois ready for her trip later that night for the drugs to Atlanta. Right then, as they're at the Pittsburgh guy's place, his girl calls, the Sandy girl, the girl, his other side piece. She's like, yo, where are you? He's like, I'm going to be there in a second. And then she's talking more shit. She bothers him. He's like, oh, I'll be there in a second. He hangs up. He calls the babysitter girl, the one who runs the drugs for him. He's like, yo, I want you to do this, and make sure and the most important thing, when you make the call later to set up the trip to Atlanta, leave the house. Do not do it in the house. She's like, okay. He's like, don't okay that shit. Like, tell me you're not, like, repeat, I'm not going to make the call in the house. She's like, all right, fuck. It's not a big deal. I'm not going to make the call in the house. He's like, oh my God. He's like, this is really important. You're not treating it like it is. And she's like, what, do you think I'm dumb or something? I'm going to do it. He's like, just shut the fuck up and get it done. And then she hangs up. He's like, unbelievable. Every woman in my life. What is wrong?
Right.
So he goes, she hangs up, and then you hear the voiceover. But what does she do? She does exactly what I tell her not to. She hangs up the phone with me, picks it right back up, and calls from the house. Now, if anyone was listening, not only do they know I have a package coming from Pittsburgh, it's going to Atlanta, and they know the time. So he goes, I get home. I had a few more hours to drive to Sandy's to mix the stuff, then get back to the gravy. You know, you see him doing a fat line of coke. He looks fucked up. All right. Cut to 8:30 p.m. He's at Sandy's place. She's pissed at him. She's like, oh, you need to stay here. I want you to stay, yada, yada. He gets the drugs. He leaves. He gets back to his place. He's finally having dinner with his family. It's like, he's kind of breathing for a second.
Yeah.
It's all kind of calm. Like, this is the moment, it's the only moment in this scene where it's been like,
Right.
Yeah.
okay. So they're eating dinner. There's chill. He's like having a cigarette, smoking. The babysitter girl comes in, and she's like, she's like, you got to take me home. He's like, what do you mean? She's like, you got to take me home right now. He's like, what are you talking about? We got to go soon. I got to tape the drugs to your leg. What the fuck? What do you mean you got to go home? She's like, I forgot my hat. He's like, what? She's like, I need it. It's my lucky hat. I don't fly without it. Lois, do you understand what we are involved in? The life we're in? And he's like, I don't give a fuck about your hat. And she goes, I don't care. I don't fly without my hat. He's like, fuck! And you hear the voiceover. What could I do? I had to do it. He's like, come on, right? So he said, I gotta go get her hat, yada, yada. I leave the package in the kitchen. I gotta go take her home, come back, and then we'll do it all. He goes out back. When he goes to the car, he goes to back out. He sees a bunch of cop cars behind him. He's like, what the fuck? He looks to his left. Freeze, motherfucker! Don't move! And he's like, he said, for a second, I thought I was dead. But then I realized I was hearing noise. So I knew they were cops. If they were wise guys, I wouldn't have heard nothing.
Yeah.
So you hear Karen inside screaming, lock the door! And she's dumping all the cocaine in the toilet. Fade to black. Aftermath. So they tell him that chopper was narcotics officers. They're like, and they've been on him for months. And they arrested everyone. They arrested the Pittsburgh people. They arrested Sandy. They got everybody, right? They grabbed all his drug shit from Sandy's place. Henry's just sitting there like, they got him. They got him for like 25 years easy. Right. Karen is telling Henry, like, yo, Jimmy offered me a bunch of money, yada, yada. He just wants to know what's happening. He wants to help us. And he's like, yo, fuck all that. You got to get me out of here. Paulie's going to whack me. Like, they're going to whack me. And she's like, well, wouldn't you be safe from prison? He's like, Karen, they can whack me in prison. They can whack me anywhere. You got to get me the fuck out of here. He said, so I got Karen to put her mother's house up for, like mortgage or whatever.
They got a second mortgage.
Second mortgage on the house to get me bail. I'll never forget when I walked out of the prison, I thought I was going to get whacked the moment I walked out. But, it didn't happen. He goes, so now my plan to stay alive was sell the dope that the cops never found that was in the house, and that'll be enough to get us by. And you see him at the house, and he's looking for it. He's like, Karen, where's the stuff? And she's like, what stuff? He's like, where's the drugs? And she's like, I flushed it. He's like, you what? And she's like, what do you mean? The cops were here. I flushed it. That was 60 grand, Karen. That's all the money we had. That was everything. And he snatches her. Why would you do that? And you see, she's realizing, like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, why the fuck would you do it? She's like, they would have found it. They would have found it. They'd have never fucking found it, Karen. No. And now he's screaming, like, for real. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my God. And he's like, oh, my God. He just, like, falls to the ground. Oh, my God. And she's, like, crawls to him. No, I'm sorry. And they just hold each other. He wakes up the next morning, gun in hand, like full panic. He goes and sees Paulie. Paulie, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I fucked up. But I'm clean now. I swear on my kids, I'm clean. You looked me in my eyes and you lied to me. You treated me like I was a fucking jerk. Like I was nothing. Like I was nothing to you. Paulie, I was ashamed. I'm ashamed now. I got nowhere else to go. You're all I got. I really need your help. He goes, take this. And he gives him a handful of cash. Henry starts crying. And Paulie's like, nah, I got to turn my back on you. $3,200. That's what he gave me. $3,200 for a lifetime. Not even enough to pay for my coffin. And then you hear him telling Karen, yo, we got to leave. And she's like, I don't want to do that. He goes, Karen, if we stay here, we're dead. Cut to Karen goes and sees Jimmy. And Jimmy's like, how's he doing? He's like, oh, he's good. He's sober, but he's good. She goes, you know the questions the police been asking him? You know anything? She's like, no, I don't know anything. Well, tell him he's got to call me. She's like, okay, I will. And he gives her some cash. He's like, I also got some beautiful dresses if you want to take a look at them. She's like, yeah, I'll take a look. He's like, all right, it's around the corner over here. And he's like, all right, just go ahead and go look. And she's like, okay. And she goes to go look. He goes, don't forget to tell him to call me. And she's like, I won't, but where is it? He's like, it's around the corner. Just go. You see her kind of walking. He's like, just keep going. And she's like, kind of keeps walking a little bit. Like, yeah, just go, right around the corner there. And she kind of bends the corner, and it's like a dark alley with like two dudes you see just kind of like in the dark. And she's like, you know what, I'm good. He's like, no, go in there. He's like, no, I'm good, Jimmy. He's like, where you going? And then she gets in her car and she peels off. All right? She goes back to the house, and now she's crying. She's like in the car crying. Henry comes out. He's got the gun. He's like, what happened? What happened? She's like, nothing. I just got scared. And he takes her in the house. You hear the voiceover. If you're a part of a crew, no one says they're going to kill you. That's not how it happens. Murders come with smiles as friends, and they come when you're at your weakest. So I met Jimmy in a crowded place, a place we both knew. He made sure I wasn't tailed. He was jumpy. He hadn't touched his food. On the surface, the conversation's all fine, but I knew it. He just really wanted to see if I was going to rat him out. And you hear them talking. He's like, and Jimmy's like, you know that kid from the city? He turned out to be a rat, but I know where he's hiding. You know what I'm saying? You have a problem going down on a vacation, taking care of that? And he slides him like a little address. You hear the voiceover. Jimmy's never asked me to whack someone before. Now he wants me to go to Florida. That's when I knew. I would have never come back from Florida alive. You see Henry talking to a lawyer. He's like, look, bro. Henry's like, look, bro, I just don't want to go to no place cold. And the lawyer's like, you have no choice in that. He's like, look, man, whoever controls it, no place cold, all right? And Karen's like, let me ask some questions. What about my parents? Will I be able to see them? Will I be able to talk to them? And they're like, no. So you mean to tell me, God forbid they get sick, I can't even see my parents? Maybe. I can't do this, Henry. I can't leave my parents. Karen, I told you before, I won't do this unless you and the kids come. I can't without you guys. And then she's like, well, you just need Henry, right? You don't need me. He's like, that's right. And frankly, I don't give a fuck. If it makes him a better witness, good. That's what they want. And she goes, well, they want Henry, not me. He goes, yeah, Henry will be in witness protection if he goes alone. But you'll be fucked. She goes, I don't know anything. He goes, oh, don't play that shit with me, Karen. You don't know anything. You're on the phone every other day talking about cocaine and where it's moving. Don't play this game with me. And then cut to, you see Jimmy getting arrested. You know what I'm saying? We see Paulie getting arrested. See, whether he goes to jail or in the streets, your husband's gonna die. You know that, and I know that. And what it comes down to, Karen, is we are your salvation to save both your lives and to keep you both out of jail. You hear voiceover. It was easy to disappear. My house was in my mother-in-law's name. I've never voted. I've never paid taxes. My license was fake. All my shit was phony. The only thing they really had on me was my birth certificate and my arrest sheet. Those are the only two things to know I was ever alive. We see him in a court. He's ratting out his friends. He points at Jimmy. They're like, can you point at Mr. Jimmy Conway? He points at him.
And I believe this is the scene where Jimmy's not in a suit.
No.
In court?
Yeah, he's in regular clothes. That's why it stands out. He's like has glasses. He has
glasses older.
On.
Yeah, he's a little older now too. So you can tell he's older now.
Wow, and he's pointing them out.
He's pointing them out in the court, and they're like, "Can you point out Paulie?" And he points at Paulie, and Paulie just looks at him like the look at Paulie's eye is great because it is full like betrayal. Like, damn, bro, you really gonna do this? I raised you. The hardest thing for me was leaving the life. I still love the life. You're treated like movie stars with muscle. Had it all for the asking. Paper bags of jewelry in the kitchen. I had a cookie jar full of Coke near the bed. Anything I wanted, a phone call away. I'd bet 20 grand on a weekend, lose it all, and get it back the next week. I didn't give a fuck. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered. When I was broke, I just robbed for more. We paid off everything. Everything had a hand. Everyone had a handout. Everything was for the taking. And now it's all over. And you see, cut to a regular neighborhood, like a suburban-ass neighborhood, right? In the middle of nowhere. Today, everything is different. No action. We see him like walking out his house. He's got like a robe and like a little like lawnmower going. Now I'm an average nobody. Get to live the rest of my life like a schmuck. You see him look at the camera, turn around, walk back in the house, fade to black. We see Tommy shoot at the camera. Henry Hill, this is just words on the screen now, is still in witness protection program. In 1987, he was arrested in Seattle for narcotics conspiracy and received 5 years probation. Since 1987, he has been completely clean. In 1989, Henry and Karen separated after 25 years of marriage. Paul Cicero died in 1988 in Fort Worth Federal Prison, the thing he said he didn't want it, of respiratory illness. He was 73.
Fort Worth?
Yep.
Like right here?
Right here.
Whoa.
Connections. Jimmy Conway is currently serving a 20-year to life sentence for murder in a New York State prison. He will not be eligible for parole until 2004. He will be 78 years old. Goodfellas.
Whoa.
What a film, huh?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it just ends. Nothing good happens.
No.
It just that's what I always thought about. Like, wow, what a movie, because that really felt like real life. Of like, damn, it's just that's what happens.
So check this out. After the movie is over, after the movie is released, Hill gets kicked out of witness protection because he can't stop bragging that the film is about him.
Hilarious.
So he became
funny.
such a liability to witness protection, they kicked him out. And he just, because they don't know why, he never got killed. He died of old age. They believe he never got killed because everyone he sort of ratted on sort of died before, like.
They all died.
Yeah, they all died. And so by the time he got out, it was just a whole new bunch of people. He wasn't really connected to them. It's just kind of over.
And it's like lore to a movie. It's just like,
But he was a regular caller on the Howard Stern show while he was alive until his death.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, nobody knew it was him.
No,
right?
no, he would be like, I'm Henry Hill. I'm the guy.
Really?
Yeah. I'm the, the guy.
You're right.
The whole thing Goodfellas is based off of.
Because it had all been so long at that point.
Yeah.
It just didn't matter.
Yeah, it was based off a book called Wise Guys, and there is a comedy movie about Henry Hill's life in witness protection starring Steve Martin. I forgot what the movie was called.
It sounds hilarious.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there was another book on his life in witness protection, and
I just
it was
can't
more of a
believe-
comedy movie.
I can't believe he didn't get whacked though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because Paulie had like hundreds of people in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He said he also went on the record saying like, I have no idea how I'm alive, but he got to live until he was like 78, 79.
I guess you're right. It just got so old that even because if you're Paulie's fan, like if you're a part of that, right? It's like you're now 40. You're dealing with whatever else you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm gonna go whack this guy. Like I don't even give a fuck.
Yeah. The mob, the mob is going through whatever's happening in the 80s and 90s. They become less,
Less powerful for
less
sure.
powerful.
They lost all
Yeah.
of it.
I mean, you see it at the end of, if you remember at the end of Sopranos, like the corporation really killed the mob. What?
No, you can.
Oh, you thought I was gonna ruin
You
something?
can spoil it.
Are you watching it?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Are you
too
watching
bad.
Sopranos right now?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
You're gonna like it
Hey.
even more after hearing this.
No, and like hearing the woman that being the therapist, I'm like, now I'm starting to see her be more dramatic in Sopranos. So I'm like, it's making sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, no, I'm
I hate to
not.
spoil it, but Gandolfini, that guy dies.
I know
That guy
people have to die.
Dead, dude.
Right.
I just don't
Well,
know.
I think he means in real life more than the actual
No,
thing.
he's dead.
It's not, you're not wrong. But yeah, I didn't spoil anything big or anything like that.
Okay,
for you.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like the mob has just become less powerful over time.
Wow.
Just
And he
interesting.
took
That's true.
a big part of it down.
Yeah. That's a big crime family that he was a
I mean,
part of.
he took two made men down.
No, just one. Jimmy wasn't made. Jimmy.
But Paulie, he got involved.
Yeah,
Oh,
Paulie.
Paulie. He got Paulie down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn, bro, that is crazy.
And
yeah.
Bats.
And Bats.
He
Yeah.
was part of that anyway.
Yeah.
Two made men.
He killed one.
Because
took
I mean,
one to jail.
him and Jimmy did deserve to die for the Bats thing.
Yeah, it's crazy that they survived the Bats thing.
Well, clearly I don't think maybe they just heard that Tommy did it. Maybe you know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
like if you just heard that,
Right.
you kind of because they definitely should have died for that.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I wasn't their fight.
Yeah.
They were there. Yeah.
They were just there.
Hmm.
God, what a film! How'd you feel? You like it?
I loved it. I love mafia shit. I feel like besides the killing, there's a lot of similarities in comedy and probably other art forms. But there's a lot of you don't get killed. Like, you don't know if you're going to get killed. Killings happen with a smile. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
sometimes people just stop getting booked or like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It feels like mafia shit sometimes.
Just-
You
100%.
100% is. We talk
Yeah.
about it. We talk
gotta
about.
respect your people and the made men in the game.
You gotta respect the made
Mhm.
man and like
Mhm.
and what you can say and can't say like around people and like
A lot of respect is involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with same terminology, kill, murder. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, obviously we're not killing and murdering, but it's
keeping
like
your mouth shut.
keeping your mouth shut. Yeah. A rat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like,
ratting on people, like
ratting on
like
people.
going on like podcasts or going on whatever and like airing shit out. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
that shit.
Yeah, it's like that shit's supposed to be in
Yeah,
house.
everything's supposed to it's supposed to be in the family.
Yeah, you got to keep it in the family.
Keep it
That's
in
the
the
whole
family,
point. Yeah, you got
yeah.
to keep it in the family. It's like whatever's going on in between you and the rest of the people in the family, that's fine. But to the world, it's supposed to be united front.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's like that too. From the stand-up comedian thing was we're all nerding out now in
Yeah.
comedy, but I didn't know that term stand-up comedian came from the mafia.
Came from the mob world,
I know the
yeah.
Comedy Store was Ciro's.
Used to be a mob
and then
hangout.
Before that was Mob Hangout.
Yeah, it is. I mean, comedy is such a it's very it's a gang mob shit. Like,
Yeah.
mafia shit.
Yeah.
It's like the whole way it is and the lifestyle it is, you know.
Right.
I think so.
Last fun fact I have about this movie. The previews of this movie at this point, I believe it was Warner Brothers, whoever did this, said it was the worst preview response they've ever had. 70% walkouts.
Of the preview?
Yeah, so like you know how they show it to preview audiences?
Oh, I thought they played the trailer during the preview and people left. That's really bad.
Yeah,
That's bad.
that's actually worse than what I'm saying. Yeah. But the preview audiences hated the movie and they thought this movie was gonna be a flop.
Whoa.
Interesting.
And ironically, on the flip end, this is the first movie made from the '90s to be in the National Film Registry as a movie to be saved for future, like it's a historical movie.
It's perfect when you watch
Yeah.
it. Literally, I've never seen it on, and I don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in a hotel, if I'm anywhere, I'd never in my life have seen it on and not stopped and watched whatever point it's at. It's timeless. Every shot is beautiful. Every acting decision is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the best actors doing this perfect dance.
Mm-hmm.
It's
you
magnificent.
delivered it very good.
Thank you.
No, I
homie.
was laughing at some of the parts, not because of what was happening, but just how like passionate you were. I was like, he's killing it.
Jesky, we love you. Oh my God. Thanks for coming on just to hear a movie. That's so cool.
I love
Next
you
time you
guys.
come on,
That was
we'll
so
have
fun.
you actually do the pod.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a spoil the beans only. You guys are great. Thank you for doing this. It was really fun for me.
You're the best. Go follow Jesky and listen to all of her, everything. She's always on Kill Tony. Go watch all her stand-up. Go to all of her shows. Go follow her online. She is the GOAT. Thank you guys for listening. Ehsan is gay. Val, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm not also gay. It's just Deric. It's just Deric.
Nope, he's gay.